In the fabled land of Northern California, nestled in the Valley of Sacramento, two friends begin a journey to enlighten the world about their experience living life as a Xennial. But what is a Xennial, you may ask? If you wish to know, then follow them on their adventures.
Welcome to the Xennial Chronicles. This is James.
This is Mike.
And today we are doing our special football episode.
Oh, dang.
Now, because Mike is kind of lacking in knowledge in football, which is okay,
I don't know jack about it.
we have brought in a special guest to help have this discussion with me, the football fanatic. That special guest is our announcer friend, Scott.
Welcome to the Xennial Chronicles.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing today,
Now we know
Scott?
it's him.
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Swell.
We had good dinner, by the way. I want to comment
We
on
did.
the fact.
Mike did a good job.
Thank you.
Yes, Mike
Thank you
made
very
some
much.
Very
ribs
good
for
job.
us. He made some
Ribs.
wieners.
Some cheddar-filled wieners.
We put the wieners in our mouth. It was fun.
And
Mike is-
we're
Mike-
going to lap that to
Mike is-
just make
you
sure.
you are so not going to edit that out. I'm not going to let you edit that out. You need to keep the wieners in the mouth.
You don't know what editing I can do when you're not here, damn it.
I'll
That's
listen
just
later,
rude.
All right.
and then I'll
rude.
yell at you.
You're
and
like,
then
no,
every time,
put it back.
Every time we talk about anything, we'll be talking about, hey, did you like that thing in the '90s? What, wieners in the mouth? Because it will happen over and over.
James is
again.
going to insert the wiener at any time he can.
I will, though. I will. But today,
I hate you guys so much.
today we're talking about
Insert the
football.
wiener.
What?
This
Yes,
is gonna
today
be
we're talking about-
This is going to be an amazing episode.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
ready for some football?
I kind of am ready for some football. Are you ready for some football?
Yeah.
So, we're at week what, 8? Week 8 in the season.
It's going to be
Is
the
that right?
goofiest
We're
episode,
heading
I
into-
swear.
yeah.
All right,
We
let's
just
get into
finished-
this.
Yeah.
We're at week 8 in the episode in the season for football.
We just finished
and
week 7, yeah.
maybe it's is it
We
week
just
7 or
finished
week
week
8?
7.
Week 7 we just
finished
finished.
week 7.
Fantastic. And we're kind of at this point we're about third of the way through the season.
Yep.
And starting to see a little bit of things form out as far as teams are going. Caveat ahead of time. Mike, of course, again, passing fan of football. He'll sit and watch a game, have some enjoyment, right?
Yeah,
Mike?
that's pretty much all I do. Like if there's a game on or something like that, I like to see. I like to watch football, but I'm not like an avid fan. I don't care what color the jerseys are when they're on screen. I just like to watch the game.
Okay, but if you're going to be wearing any team's apparel, what team is it going to be?
I grew up a Niner fan.
Okay,
I mean
and-
that's kind of in the family, you
Yes.
know. So
And
that's
it's in the
that's
blood.
one thing that it's in the
Yeah.
blood. So like by default, I would consider myself a Niner fan, but I'm such a passing
Well,
fan.
you're in good company in this room because I am definitely a Niner fan, and Scott,
Since I was a very small boy.
Niner fan.
Niner fan.
His hat is evidence of that for certain.
True, true.
He's got a
I have the Niner hat on
He's
right now.
rocking the SF.
Yes. So, admittedly, we do have a bit of a skewed point of view, but Scott and I are not just lovers of the 49ers. We are lovers of the NFL in general.
Yes.
And so
Football fanatics.
We pay attention to every game that happens in every team, and we're going to do a little bit of discussion about what's going on with the teams.
Yeah.
We're going to take this conference by conference. We're going to start with
Okay.
the AFC, the American Football Conference, first.
Okay.
Because the 49ers aren't in there. We're leaving them till kind of the end so we can have a nice, good, hearty discussion about what's going on with our 49ers this year.
Sure.
Now,
It's the headliner.
very much so. Now, for those of you who don't know,
He's got a plan for this episode. You know.
for the most part, for those of you who don't know, there's how many teams in the NFL, Scott?
32?
32 teams in the NFL, which means that if there's two conferences, there's how many teams in each conference, Mike?
16.
Very good. Now, each conference is broken down into 4 divisions,
Right.
which would leave 4 teams in each division.
Okay.
Now, it's important because the divisional teams and especially the divisional games in each year are really the important games for the teams. Because if you win your division, you automatically have a seed in the playoffs. Because the 4
Right.
division leaders automatically get into the playoffs.
Okay.
So division teams are important. Knowing your division teams are important. So
Right.
what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to start with the AFC.
Is this
The
stuff
American
that I'm going to
Football
have to like
Conference.
write down?
You don't necessarily have to. It's good. You
Okay.
can listen to it again, but it just
There will
gives you
be
an
a quiz.
idea. Very, very big one.
Of course there will.
Actually, here
I'm
is a
going to
question.
fail this so hard.
Here is a question to see about your football knowledge. Who are the defending Super Bowl champions?
The Patriots?
That is correct.
Okay.
How about the defending NFC champions? The team who lost to the Patriots in last year's Super Bowl.
I have already forgotten that information.
I'll leave that one to Scott.
That would be the Rams, who the Niners kind of spanked a couple of weeks ago.
We'll get into that one later.
And,
but yes,
and the trash talking has begun.
yes, it has. That would be the Los Angeles Rams, formerly, for anybody who's been a while away from football, formerly of St. Louis and of Los Angeles.
They started,
Yeah, because teams move around weirdly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they have no.
He was, James was telling me before the podcast today. He was telling me all the teams, their name changes and location changes and all this stuff. And I just remember, like, I got the image in my head of the opening story to basketball, where they're talking about like all the teams that flipped over and they did this for money and all this kind of stuff. Like, kind of.
That's some very.
It gave me a bit of that flashback there.
I mean, some of the stories, the Browns leaving Cleveland to go to Baltimore, for instance, was just. Such a crisis on the NFL, and the way that they handled it, it was terrible.
Back in the day when
you're called the Baltimore Browns.
No, they're the Baltimore Ravens now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
were they the Baltimore Browns at any point?
No.
Okay.
The Colts used to be in Baltimore before they moved to Indianapolis.
Exactly.
Oh.
It's again so many of the weird things, but. To get on schedule here, we're going to talk about the AFC. And this is we're recording this at nighttime because normally we record on Monday mornings. The stuff comes out on Thursday. We're recording Monday night, and the Monday night football game I believe has just ended.
So that was the final score that I saw.
That was at least that's pretty much going to be the final score.
Pretty much. I don't think it's going to change much from that.
And
how much time is left?
Unless
the Patriots score again. Yeah, the Patriots basically destroyed the Jets, and we're going to start there.
Last time I checked, it was 33-0.
33-0. How much time's left?
A couple minutes in the fourth.
Yeah, there was only. Oh yeah, so it's
done.
2-minute warning, 33-0 still.
2-minute warning. Okay, Woo. So
2-minute warning.
Some real time stuff for you people.
They can pull something.
No,
they can still come back.
And we're talking. So let's start here. Since these two teams are both in the AFC East, we're going to start with the AFC East.
Okay,
we'll start with the defending Super Bowl champion Patriots, who are now going to be 7-0 after this game is finished.
Yeah.
What's your take on the Patriots this year? Same as always, or same as at least the last 15 years?
I mean, they're still dominant. The thing that is like even more impressive about them this year is their defense. Their defense is like the best I've ever seen. Their defense. I mean, it's just
it's punishing every team, and I mean it's number one in almost every category. Isn't
pretty
it?
Much. I mean, close to it.
And even tonight,
except for passing yards allowed.
Passing yards allowed.
They're second.
Yes, I know who's number one for that.
Yes,
we'll get to that one later. Spoiler: it's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay,
but
I'm just gonna stay back and watch this conversation happen.
I agree with you on the defense. This is definitely a defense that you have not seen yet from a. I mean, Belichick being a defensive mind to begin with, this is just a next level defense for him. It's really smothering people, and he has maybe 2 or 3 people that are really name stars on it. The rest are just, as is the standard for the Patriots, just mismatched pieces from other clubs that he's been able to put together.
Yeah.
And it's scary that it's so good, and yet up until this game, which with the 33 points that they're scored, their offense really hasn't had much production. And when people think of the Patriots, their first focus is on Tom Brady.
That's the interesting thing about the Patriots this year is that it's much more on the defense as far as the emphasis. It's not as much. I mean, Brady is still Brady, of course, but
he looks like he's starting to lose a step finally. But I mean, seriously, at this point, 42. Finally,
I was going to say he's pretty old, isn't he?
He is for especially for a quarterback. He's way up there in years.
Yeah, I've heard that name for years now.
And that's the thing is the upside is the Patriots are built to win in any way that they need to win.
Yeah.
Be it by a defense leading things, a rushing attack on the offense leading things, a passing attack. It's kind of Belichick's way of dealing with things is whatever he's given to work with, he figures out a way to work with it. And
the thing about Belichick too is especially like on the defensive side of it, he caters their defensive scheme from week to week. He'll always look at each team they're facing, who are they facing next, what are they successful at, how can we take that away from them?
Exactly, and that's the biggest key. Take away the thing that they're most successful at, turn them into a team that is hopefully as one-dimensional as possible. This harkens back to some of the things you and I were talking about earlier, Mike, making a team one-dimensional on offense. And once you can do that, you can just keep punishing them over and over again.
Yeah.
So this is the Patriots beating the Jets, who are going to end up being 1-5 at the end of this. Funny enough, not the worst team in the AFC East this year.
Who, the Jets?
The Jets are not. That actually goes to the Dolphins, who have not won a single game this year.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are pretty much tanking. It's actually been rumored that they might be tanking to try to get first pick in the draft. Which is
they never got Snowflake back, did they? That's the problem, isn't it?
Unsure.
The laces were in.
Gold's been having that problem lately, but we'll work on. Well, again, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So the AFC East, Mike.
Yes.
Patriots,
Okay.
Bills
Okay.
of Buffalo, just in case you didn't know. New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins. And in fact, that is the order that they're in now. The Bills are actually having a surprising season, only having lost one game so far.
Yeah.
And guess who they lost it to?
Who?
The Patriots.
Yeah.
So this is a team that's actually
what's the Patriots' record this season?
it'll be 7-0
It'll be
right
7-0
now.
after
Woo!
Yeah, they are one of two undefeated teams in the entire NFL at this point.
Interesting.
So they're hurtling along
Wait,
pretty
did they
well.
start all these? Okay, so they don't start all of them on the same week, do they?
Actually, there's 18 weeks total in the season, but
Okay.
16 games.
Yeah.
Actually, 17
Oh,
weeks.
so
Right?
so
17
eventually there
weeks,
will
16
be
games. Each team
a
gets
week or
bye
two.
week.
I
Each
getcha.
team gets one bye week where they have a week off from their games.
Gotcha.
Throughout the season, it's better. It's typically better if you have the bye week in the middle of the season.
Gotcha.
But they can be as early as week 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where, because I know that the
Yeah.
Niners right now are 6-0, but they were.
Thanks for giving away the main part of the conversation later. But all right.
It's just a preview. It's just a preview.
Yeah.
But yes.
If that's not, dude, that is like common knowledge at this point. Are you kidding me? I've had that hammered in my face for like 6 weeks.
Good. You're welcome.
Yes, exactly.
They did have
I've
their
been
bye
part
week.
of that.
They did have their bye week. On the
I'm not
4th.
spoiling anything, I'm sure.
The 4th week of the year, they had their bye week, so they had an early.
Gotcha.
Bye.
I was going to say that's where
The Bills-
I'm looking ahead at the math.
The Bills,
man.
for instance, have already had their bye week.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But and the Bills and Patriots game was actually a pretty close game. The Bills played them pretty
actually.
hard.
Yeah, the Bills
legit.
The Bills also this year, I mean, have had a pretty strong defense.
Yes,
So-
their defense has been strong, and their quarterback Allen. He's one of the Allen quarterbacks that's playing right now.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, is that what this one is? There's him and there's the Allen in Carolina.
Okay,
But,
yeah, so I think it's Josh Allen. Then for
This one's
for
Josh
Buffalo,
Allen?
Yeah.
Because the other one's what, Kyle Allen? Or?
Kyle Allen.
Yeah, okay. Allen's been playing some pretty good ball. He's not been making many mistakes. Bills are playing pretty good.
Okay.
Second in their division, which if they keep this up, even if they lose another game to the Patriots, they could find themselves in one of the wild card slots very easily.
Oh, I could totally see him as a wild.
And I mean, it would make a lot of sense. It would be nice if they got a. It does mean they're not going to get home field advantage if they hit that wild card, no matter what in the playoffs. But still, having that wild card and getting the chance, see what they can do. And
it's all about getting there.
It's also a little bit nice as a 49er fan to see. Isn't Frank Gore out there running in Buffalo?
Yeah,
and it's nice to see him still running around.
I'll tell you what. Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that because I am so happy to see the success that Frank's having in Buffalo. It's so cool, and
especially
the
at
fact
this point,
and the fact that this year he became only the third running back in the history of the NFL to surpass 15,000 yards.
That's fantastic. I mean, what does that put? What is that? Peyton and Smith above him?
Exactly right. Walter
Wow.
Payton, Emmitt Smith are the only other two people.
I mean, that's first
15,000
ballot
yards.
Hall of Fame type stuff right
no
there.
doubt
Wow.
about it.
Okay.
I mean, he just for some backstory
for
for
context.
you, Frank Gore is the all-time leading rusher for the 49ers.
Yeah.
When he was
Okay.
playing on the 49ers. The last time the Niners were in the Super Bowl against the Ravens, he was the running back at that time.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, the dude's nickname is the Inconvenient Truth.
Yeah. They also,
that's
they also call him Frank the Tank.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
this is the dude that he's a little tiny dude. He's a short guy. He's maybe an inch or two taller than us, if that.
Yeah.
but
He's
he's a between the tackles runner.
Yeah.
So that means that instead of trying to run around the outside of the offensive line and get near the sideline to run down, he's running right between
straight up the
linemen,
middle?
straight up the middle, downhill running, and pushing people off,
Damn.
carrying people.
Yeah.
And he's not a big dude. He's
No.
just bulky
He's
and
stocky.
But
Yeah.
he's strong and he's
Low
hard.
center of
he's hard
gravity
to-
is
he's-
just going.
Yeah,
but
so-
one of the things about him, he's always been hard to tackle. He's hard
Yeah.
to take down
because he'll
That's
shed
cool.
tackles off people who keep those legs pushing and punching forward.
Yeah.
He's a great runner. It was sad when we got rid of him.
I was sad to see him go.
But it's still nice to see him running, especially he's an over 30-year-old back.
Yeah.
And 30 years old is typically when running backs start losing their legs.
Oh, really?
And losing their ability to run. And he is still pounding it. And he was a dude that came out of college with some major injuries. He had 2 ACL injuries in college.
That's true.
And was able to come into the Niners, drafted into the Niners, and still able to do amazing things even with those 2 ACL injuries. It's still neat to watch him. He's typically, I don't follow former players that much because they've left the team. They're no longer with us. Some of them I get angry at. Some of them, there's players like T.O. who I didn't like when he was on the team, and I didn't like him even more when he was off the team, except for the fact that he wasn't on our team anymore. So that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few like that. But Gore
Frank-
is just somebody that's just like
Gore is definitely one of them. He's
Yeah.
he's one of my all-time favorites.
he's one of those guys that I hope when he decides to retire, he goes and signs a one-day contract with the
I
Niners.
think he will. I think he'll definitely retire as a Niner. I
hope
think he'll
so.
want to come back.
They do that, by the way, on a
Oh,
regular
really?
basis.
Oh, all the
yeah.
time.
Oh, that's
Regular
that's
basis.
a regular thing.
Rice
Yeah.
retired as a Niner.
Yeah.
He
Even though-
did after
yeah.
he played
Even-
for the Raiders.
He went to the
Exactly.
Raiders. He went to the Raiders. He went to the Seahawks, and then he went to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the Denver Broncos cut him in training camp because he had just gotten old enough that he wasn't keeping up anymore.
Oh, wow.
And he went and signed a one-day contract with the Niners, retired as a 49er.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. That's legit because
I mean-
I remembered growing up with Rice.
People.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
admittedly, during his years as a Raider, oh man, this for anybody that doesn't know, Rice is my favorite player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I have more Rice jerseys than I have of anybody else.
Yeah. Mine was Montana.
Yours was
That
Montana?
Definitely.
We would have had fun as kids playing together. You could have been my quarterback, I'd have been your receiver. It's all good,
Right.
But when he went over to the Raiders, I was so mad until one day, one thing happened. One thing happened, and it made me be okay with the Raiders having signed him. And it makes sense, by the way, in a logical standpoint for 49ers. There's been a lot of 49ers players that have left the 49ers and been signed by the Raiders. Roger Craig, Tom Rathman.
Right.
I mean, Ronnie Lott.
Ronnie Lott was
These are names that are from the 80s
Another
teams.
one of my
are
all-time favorites.
some of the most important players of those 80s teams. These are guys that were part of our Super Bowl legacy during the 80s.
Oh, big time.
I mean, you don't have those Super Bowls without Ronnie Lott.
No, you don't.
It doesn't exist at all.
No.
And the 89 the 88 and 89 Super Bowl, you need Rathman and you need Craig. Those
Yeah.
are necessary components for those Super Bowls.
No doubt.
And it makes sense because the Raiders were in LA, but then back in Oakland, but they were still in California. So like if you sign with the Raiders after leaving the Niners, you don't really got to move.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you can keep your family in the same place. So
Still
it
on the
makes
West
sense.
Coast.
It makes sense in a logical thing. Like,
Right.
you know, we have our roots here. We can stay here. But what happened was the Raiders finally, a year after the worst referee call in playoff history, worst referee call in playoff history.
Yeah.
Okay, I need some context here.
This is the call that this is a call.
Take it, Jen.
It's known as the Tuck Rule.
Yes.
By the way, you ever want to piss off a Raider fan? Just say the words Tuck Rule.
Just
to a
say
Raider
those
fan.
two words. Just
Tuck
those two words.
Tuck rule?
Tuck
okay.
rule.
Tuck
Okay,
rule.
what's this about?
Basically, it was a playoff game in the snow up in Boston.
Okay.
It was the New England Patriots against the Raiders.
Okay.
Well, who's the safety? It was the Hall of Fame safety.
Oh, was it?
Can't think of his name right
Was
now.
it Harrison? Or was it?
No,
No.
it was a Raider safety.
Oh, Raider safety. That's right. It was.
I can't even think of his name right now.
yeah,
My father would be very upset with me because he was on the
Yeah.
Niners for a short time too. Woodson.
Woodson.
Yes, it was Woodson.
Woodson, yes.
Okay.
Woodson came in on a safety blitz.
Okay.
Tom Brady was the quarterback.
Okay.
Tom Brady had been filling in that year for an injured Drew Bledsoe.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Drew Bledsoe was their franchise quarterback. Tom Brady was a 7th round draft pick that nobody thought would ever do anything except be a backup to Drew Bledsoe. But he
Yeah.
had led this team into the AFC Championship. In fact,
Okay.
the game, and actually this wasn't even the AFC Championship. This was the game before the AFC Championship. It was just a
yeah.
playoff game.
Divisional round. Yeah.
Woodson comes around on a safety blitz, goes to sack Brady, and Brady had gone up to throw the ball, but then had pulled back in and got sacked, fumbled the ball. Raiders
Okay.
recover. They think it's great, whatever. This obscure rule, the Tuck Rule, that at the time said that if he was in the motion of throwing the ball and pulling it back in, it would be considered basically an incomplete pass, not a fumble. Even though he was
'Cause
tucking
his
back
arm
in-
was out?
because his arm was moving in that.
It was
But he was
general arc.
choosing not to.
Because it
Yeah,
was
throw.
going through the throwing motion.
It was
Yeah.
considered. It was
So
considered,
he was basically here,
No,
and
he
then
was
he's
back
like,
in.
no.
He threw.
But
he
he
went
had
to
pulled
throw,
it back
pulled
in.
it back in, and then got tackled. But they
Yeah.
said it was still part of the throwing motion, so it was an incomplete pass, not a fumble. Patriots keep the ball. A field goal to get them into overtime. A field goal in overtime. They win. Go on. It is my firm belief that if the Tuck Rule does not happen, that exact moment in play does not happen,
The dynasty might not have
Tom
happened.
Brady is on the bench next year. The following year after that, Drew Bledsoe is back as the quarterback the following year.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady is a nobody.
I
That
think
single play
Really?
changed the entire landscape of the NFL. It also got John Gruden, the coach of the Raiders at the time, also the current coach of the Raiders. Funny how the world works. It got John Gruden fired. And here's the fun part. John
Yeah.
Gruden gets fired.
Right.
John Gruden goes and gets a job over at actually
Tampa Bay.
he doesn't even get fired. He gets traded to Tampa Bay. a coach got traded.
Yeah.
So the coach
Is
got
that
traded
not
to
a
Tampa.
normal?
No,
I
it is
didn't
not
know
a normal
coaches
thing.
can't get traded.
Yeah, you
Not
don't really,
typically.
You don't really see that.
You don't
happen.
trade. Why don't you trade a?
Because you just don't. It just doesn't happen. But the guy who did it, Al Davis, the owner of the Raiders at the time,
Okay.
he is now dead. His son now owns the Raiders.
Yes,
But
I remember hearing about Al being like
Al
super
Davis
old-fashioned.
basically
and
just
stuff,
does whatever the hell he
Yeah.
wants. Because he's
Okay.
Al Davis.
Yeah.
So he traded this coach away to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had just come off of building a pretty decent defensive roster. They had some
They had a
future
very
Hall of
strong-
Famers.
yeah.
Some people like Warren Sapp.
Warren Sapp was there.
Brooks, wasn't that the linebacker?
Yeah.
Brooks is the
Brooks
linebacker.
is there.
And then a safety.
John Lynch.
Safety, John Lynch.
Who's
So he
now-
trades-
Yes.
He trades the coach. The coach gets traded.
Okay.
The very next year, guess who wins the AFC Championship? The Raiders. With Jerry Rice on the team. He was on the team that year before with the Tuck
was.
rule.
Mhm. Yeah.
Jerry Rice on the team. They win the AFC Championship. Raiders go into the Super Bowl for the first time since the early 80s.
Yep.
Guess who wins the NFC Championship? The
Tampa
Tampa Bay
Bay.
Buccaneers.
Going up against
So
the old coach.
The Raiders' old coach.
who
Exactly
know
right.
who knows
knew the
knows
players,
he knew
knows the
every
plays.
single play. He knew
Yeah.
their entire playbook. And the funny thing was, like, the Raiders didn't make any changes.
Nope. None.
And so
They didn't
got
prep for that.
They got destroyed.
smoked. They got smoked. Gannon, their quarterback, threw like 6 interceptions. It was a
Yes,
Super
and
Bowl
I
record.
think 2 or 3 were pick sixes.
Yes.
What
That's a
year
pick.
was this?
This is 2003.
2003.
Wow.
Late January. Of,
Yeah, I was
early
super.
February
I was
2003.
super not even paying
Funny
attention to
enough,
football at that point.
I was actually sitting in the hospital with my son. He had gotten really sick and he was in the hospital. I watched that game from a hospital room, sitting with my son.
So you're watching it, just going, "Oh no!"
Well, when I'm watching it, and I'm laughing to myself, like Jerry Rice don't lose Super Bowls, but he did with the Raiders. You guys have the greatest receiver of all time, and Tim Brown was
GOAT.
still even on the team.
The GOAT.
So you have Tim Brown, who was probably one of the best Raiders receivers ever, and Jerry Rice on the other side, and they cannot win a Super Bowl with the two of them. Hey guys, guess
Yep.
what? Sorry, Jerry, you should have stayed with your team.
Wow, dude.
So and that helped me kind of get over it.
It was
and then-
interesting. I remember in that Super Bowl too, because like Tampa Bay was on the sidelines, and like you could see them on the side. They were saying, "We know every play they're calling. We know what they're going to do."
Yeah.
they're like on the
Wow.
sidelines saying, "Yeah, we know every play they're calling, and we know what they're going to do before
Yeah,
they do it."
it was a crazy Super Bowl. One to look back on, just if you ever want to look back on different Super Bowls, that was a crazy one.
All right.
Just the insanity of.
I'm wondering if I can find some, I don't know,
archive.
archive footage or something like
Oh,
that
yeah.
on YouTube or something.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
Just to watch the game.
It just
to
literally,
watch it
literally
happen.
just smothered them.
You know,
Anyway,
like old boxing matches and stuff. I'm kind of into that. You know.
Yeah.
there's
No, it's-
if you can get online for NFL Network, they have a lot of that stuff. They show
Cool.
they show those
Yeah,
things
yeah. I'll
regularly.
check it out.
But
That's cool, man.
But anyway, back to the actual AFC discussion.
Yeah.
It's a good tangent. Moving from the AFC East, we're moving into the AFC
Nice segue.
North. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, the AFC North is comprised of the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Interesting of note for 49er fans, this is a division that we have to play every single team, as does everybody else in our division. So everybody in the NFC West, which is the division the Niners are a part of, have to play all these teams from the AFC North.
Okay.
We've already played actually 3 of them. The Niners have. We've played the Cincinnati Bengals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
We've not played the Ravens yet. That will be an interesting game.
Yes.
The Ravens are looking kind of interesting this year. They have a weird kind of attack going.
It's I mean they're 5-2 at the moment, so
Have you seen any of Lamar Jackson's work?
a little bit. I've seen some of the highlights.
Does he remind you of anybody?
I know he likes to run a lot.
Do you know who his offensive coordinator is?
Actually, I do not.
Well, you know the head coach. Here's some little insight. The head coach of the Ravens is Jim Harbaugh, which is why the Ravens and 49ers Super Bowl was really interesting because the Niners coach was John Harbaugh, brother against brother.
No, I remembered that. And I was at your house and watched that game.
Bowl.
Yeah, the Harbaugh. You did watch
The
it at my
Har Bowl.
house. It was a spirit crushing moment.
The spirit crushing power outage moment.
But here's the real question. Here's the real trivia for you, sir. Who was the Niners offensive coordinator during that Super Bowl?
During that Super Bowl?
Yeah. Silence.
I have to
Okay.
defer to that.
Greg Roman.
That's right.
And
yeah.
Greg Roman is currently the offensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. Now do things make a little more sense?
Now it's making all kinds of sense. Yeah,
Yeah, because Lamar Jackson is
So
very
you're telling me
reminiscent
that the
of Colin
players are
Kaepernick.
doing what their coordinators are telling them to do?
No,
Is that
well,
not
it's-
correct?
no.
with Ronan he was the offensive coordinator when Kaepernick was there.
Yeah, Roman
And
was Kaepernick's coordinator.
And Kaepernick,
Oh.
Kaepernick was very much
Okay,
about.
now I'm starting to get it.
Yeah, Kaepernick was very much about, of course, running with the ball as much as throwing.
Yeah,
So-
he was a
Well,
one.
yeah, he became known for option run.
Well, the thing
Exactly.
about Kaepernick is he's a read option quarterback,
Okay.
and he's a
Exactly.
1-2 when he's in the passing game. He's a 1-2 read. He can only do 2 reads.
okay.
Now, I had a discussion with my father, who's another big football fan, about this yesterday when we were discussing the Lamar Jackson game. Quarterbacks who are physically gifted, like Lamar Jackson, like Michael Vick used to be, like
Steve Young.
like Steve. Actually, yes, Steve Young, Colin Kaepernick, Randall Cunningham, to bring out some old stuff.
Right.
These quarterbacks have been able to progress through high school and college and then into the pros based on their physical skill. They're just raw physical ability.
Okay.
They're fast.
Their
They're
athleticism,
Big. Their
yeah.
athleticism is just beyond the charts. As a result of this, their football IQ isn't always the highest because they've been able to get away with what they can physically accomplish,
Right.
and they haven't had to use their football IQ. Now you think
They haven't
about
had to
it.
rely on that.
Now
yeah.
think about it. Just taking the opinion of the guy who's not the football guy here in this room.
Okay.
Who would you say of all the quarterback names that you might know? Who would you say is probably one of the smartest quarterbacks playing right now?
Right now?
Yeah, the guy that you say is the smartest guy.
Good Lord, I haven't even been paying attention
But
to
just
it.
to throw, this is an easy name because it's probably one of the more recognizable names of the quarterback.
Smartest?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen any.
Kind of
of
a
the-
household name. I know who you're talking about.
Who, Manning?
No, he's not
I
playing
see-
anymore.
he's not?
Neither Manning's playing anymore.
Neither
That's
one of
a
them are now.
whole
See,
different-
that's how far out
That's a
I.
whole different story.
Ouch.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
What I'm trying to get you to say is Tom Brady.
Oh, Brady.
Were you
okay.
thinking Rodgers?
I was actually thinking Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Tom Brady is probably one of the smartest quarterbacks.
He is.
But if you look at Tom Brady, you can understand why he's one of the smartest quarterbacks. That dude is rail thin, no muscle really on him at all.
He's a little guy.
And he's tall, but he's rail thin.
Right.
He has no measurables that show any real athleticism. And if you've ever seen him run, it's a joke. I run faster than him, and I'm a short,
Yeah.
fat
This
dude.
is the guy. Hold on. This is the guy that was caught deflating his balls, right?
He technically he
That's
did.
one way
It's
of
a
putting
whole
it.
other story for another day.
Okay.
But
Deflate.
so it's like, do
As
you
far as-
consider? Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, I don't necessarily consider that to be particularly smart. Honestly, when you said Tom Brady, that's the first thing that came to my head.
I understand that, and that's a whole nother story.
Okay.
But as far as football IQ, understanding plays, understanding what the defense is doing, being able to react to that mentally,
Okay.
Tom Brady is one of the best in the league.
So okay.
He
and,
is.
And the thing is, he has had to become that to make up for his lack of athleticism.
right.
Okay.
So athletic quarterbacks very typically have more limited football IQ than the less athletic quarterbacks. And
Okay.
there's a few that are kind of the weird mixes that don't quite fit into that. Aaron Rodgers is one.
Right.
Russell Wilson is another.
Russell Wilson is having an incredible season this year.
He is, but
I mean,
we'll get to
he's-
that. We'll get to
yeah.
that. His numbers are great, but numbers are one thing. Actual team success is a whole different
Well,
story,
that's
and
true.
I want to have that discussion. When we get to the NFC West. But these are quarterbacks that do have Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson do have some physical ability. Although Aaron Rodgers can't run like Kaepernick used to be able to, or nothing like Lamar Jackson. He's
No.
shifty. He can move around
He can
and
scramble.
extend things.
He can scramble,
But
and
he's not
extend
gonna
plays.
run.
No.
And that's the thing is, Lamar Jackson has that physical running ability. Michael Vick had that physical running ability. Randall Cunningham, it wasn't until he was out of the league for a few years and then came back to the Vikings that you really saw the elevation in his football IQ.
Yeah.
That he really focused on being a better passer. It helped to throw to 2 future Hall of Famers in Chris Carter and Randy Moss, but he still needed to have some time to really let the football IQ sit in. Lamar Jackson is being given an offense now with Greg Roman as his coordinator that works to those strengths of that read option, the 1 or 2 reads, and then being able to go.
Yeah.
And that's what Greg Roman did for Kaepernick in the first couple of years that Kaepernick was there at the Niners.
Right.
After Greg Roman left is when we saw, and he left at the same time that Harbaugh did, that's when we saw the kind of decline of what Kaepernick was able to do because they were trying to make him be the style of quarterback
They were trying to make
not.
him a pocket passer.
And he was not that, which is one of the reasons, by the way, why Shanahan and Lynch told him that he could either opt out of the contract or they were going to release him. They wanted a pocket passing quarterback. They did not want a mobile quarterback, a 1 or 2 read. They were looking for a multi-read quarterback. Did they find it? Unsure. We'll get to that later.
We'll get to that, yeah. I mean, the thing is, with Lamar is like, the way he plays it, it's really kind of dangerous too because
injuries.
He needs to learn to like either slide or run out of bounds. And he's taken, from what I've seen, he's taken a lot of hits
and a lot of risk,
and a lot of risk. And it's like, you know, I always think about most recently RG3,
which is funny you say that because guess who his backup is?
RG3,
exactly. His backup is
which
RG3.
is like even more so. That should remind you,
Robert
hey,
Griffin
maybe
III.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not somebody you know.
I'm producing.
It's okay. But as far as things go with this Lamar Jackson attack, do you see the Ravens being able to keep? I mean, they're pretty good. They're pretty well ahead of the Browns. The Steelers are basically in just let's try to get through the season mode with Ben Roethlisberger gone, and
yeah, they're kind of in a free
You did
fall.
see the hit a couple of weeks ago that Mason Rudolph took, right?
I don't know. I think I must have missed that.
No, he took. I think it was the Earl Thomas, formerly of the Seattle Seahawks, now on the Ravens.
Right.
Cleaned his clock and literally knocked him out on his feet. You
Really?
see him get hit.
Oh, is that the
That's
play
one
you
I
showed me?
That's when I showed you.
Good Lord.
You see him get hit.
He was
and it
out
was a good
before
hit.
he hit the ground, dude.
It would have been a good hit. Earl Thomas had hit him with the shoulder in the chest.
Yeah.
But he got hit on the backside at the same time, which brought his head forward and came in contact with his chin, came in contact with Earl Thomas's helmet as a result.
Oh, okay.
And you can literally see his. I'm
His
sure you
eyes
watched
roll
enough
back
MMA.
while he's up, yeah.
You see his eyes go vacant as he's falling.
Oh wow!
I mean, and
Yeah.
he falls and his hands are all clutched and not moving.
that's
He
brutal.
was knocked out on his feet.
He was done, dude. It was lights out.
It was
man.
just one of those hits that's like, oh my god, that really happened in a game. Crap.
That's like the old school type hits you'd see.
Yeah.
In decades past.
Yeah, old school Steeler defense or Raider defense.
the steel curtain.
1970s. So the Steelers I see with backup quarterbacks, they're just trying to basically keep Mike Tomlin in a job for the rest of the year. The Bengals.
And what about that? Do you think Tomlin's gonna?
I think
I don't know.
The problem is here's my thought on the matter. As long as Ben is going to stay, Tomlin will stay.
Yeah.
When Ben's gone, Tomlin will go. I don't
I
think
can-
Ben
I
wants
agree
to
with
deal
that.
with another coach.
I agree with that.
And the question is whether Ben's going to come back or not. He's talked about retiring it multiple times in his career. He's got a major injury. Does he retire? He's sitting out the whole season.
I mean,
Ben Roethlisberger,
yeah.
the quarterback, the normal
I don't-
quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know the name. I
Yeah.
am so vague on the information
That's okay.
on him, but I've heard the name constantly.
I
He's
kind of see.
pretty popular.
I kind of see Roethlisberger retiring.
It wouldn't surprise me. And if that happens, I see
he's-
the Rooney family getting rid of Tomlin at this point. Just finally getting rid of him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As far as the Bengals go, the Bengals are basically a dumpster fire this year. They are 0-7.
0-7.
When it comes the what is he? The
Dumpster
red,
fire.
Is he the Red Rifle? Is that his name?
What's that?
The Red Rifle, or is that what they call Andy Dalton?
With the red rifle.
Yeah, he's a ginger like soulless over here. Andy Dalton, the quarterback of the Bengals, just
You have no
he's
soul.
done. He's done at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't produce anything. He's got some world class players around him, and nothing's going to happen. And they need to move on. They need to find somebody else. And as far as the Cleveland Browns are concerned, man, this is one of those teams everybody talked up before the year started.
Big time.
Two of the
Big
best
time.
receivers in the NFL. You have Jarvis Landry. You have Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
have a running attack that's supposed to be, and Chubb's supposed to be amazing. You have all these defensive pieces. What's that? What's their pass rusher's name? Miles Garrett. Yeah, you got Miles Garrett. You got all these people they drafted for the secondary. They're supposed to have this amazing team, and then of course Baker Mayfield. Look at me. I'm the second coming. I'm going to be the greatest thing. You know who he's the second coming of? That dude that's in Canadian football now. Oh, wait, he got kicked out of Canadian football. What's his name? I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his
He
name
played
either.
at Texas too, or Oklahoma, one of those colleges.
Yeah.
But
Baker, you okay? Baker, you good?
that's hilarious.
You gonna give us a challenge, Baker?
I'm
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice.
I am
if
so
it
lost
would
right now.
I'm just going to make the comment. Bosa needs to get some kind of personality. He really needs a personality.
He's just chill. He's just kind of laid back.
I mean, give me some Kittle on some Bosa. Mix that personality a little bit.
Right.
Did you see the interview?
Like a hybrid.
Did you see the interview with Bosa after the game yesterday? By the way, shirtless interview.
I didn't see the interview.
Shirtless
I saw the
interview.
slip and slide.
Shirtless interview.
Totally shirtless interview. He's standing there shirtless talking to Matt Mayoko in the tunnel.
I saw the slip and slide on the field that
of
everybody
course.
did. Yeah.
That was awesome, but still.
Yeah.
It was an
What
easy-
the
easy
hell are you guys talking about? I thought we were talking
game
about
yesterday.
football.
The game-
The game yesterday after the final
Talking
play.
shirtless
hold on,
interviews and
we'll get
slip
there.
and slides. I
We'll
don't
get there.
understand.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Okay.
You'll understand slip and slide later.
But just to give you some context, when the Cleveland Browns actually played the 49ers, they were completely and utterly destroyed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Did they
It was
use a slip and
31 to 3?
something like that? Yeah,
Final
it was awful. It was an awful game for the
It
Browns.
was just
and
cleaned up.
Yeah.
they're at 2-4 right now. I don't see them doing anything. Baker Mayfield's got way too big of a head, and he's really not that good. Again, he's a 1 or 2 read quarterback.
Yeah.
And he's not anything further than that. He's never. I don't think he ever will be. Mainly because I don't think he's teachable. He doesn't seem like the type that could be teachable.
I see that too. He just seems like very arrogant. And, yeah.
Moving on real quick to the AFC South. Yes, Mike, this is going to be a long episode. AFC South,
I'm just marking everything, man. I'm just marking.
We have the Indianapolis Colts, the Houston Texans, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Tennessee Titans. I'm surprised with the Indianapolis Colts. This is kind of neat that you lose Andrew Luck at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I'm happy for him.
And
actually.
Jacoby Brissett is coming out. Interestingly, a former backup of Tom Brady, Jacoby Brissett was. And he's coming out and doing some amazing things with a team that Andrew Luck was able to have luck with multiple times throughout the last couple of years when he was healthy.
Pun intended.
So, yes, very much. But it's nice to see Jacoby Brissett doing that, and especially the win they had yesterday. And it was over the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
The Houston Texans, I mean, with what I don't know why you'd get rid of somebody like Jadeveon Clowney, but they are 4-3, so they don't necessarily need Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense is still doing some decent things.
They're doing not too bad.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, that team is another one that's kind of just fallen apart this year.
Pretty much.
Although Gardner Minshew, gotta like that. Just a guy coming off the bench. Pretty nice mustache going on there. He's got good. I think he's got the second best porn stash in the game at this point in time.
Why is this the stuff that we're not talking about?
You want to talk about porn stashes?
Aaron Rodgers,
No, not porn stashes in general, but just random crap.
Aaron Rodgers has the best.
Like
porn
how hard
stash,
somebody
by the
got
way.
hit, or like
That's true. Aaron Rodgers had the best
mustache in
had the best
football.
porn
This sounds
stash.
fantastic.
His porn stash is like next level. Plus, he
Yeah,
gives you
he's
those
a-
creepy eye look. I mean, Gardner
you just-
Minshew looks like
let's
the
make it
guy
interesting.
that.
You just look at him and you can just hear like funky like 70s music.
Yeah. See, Gardner Minshew looks like he's the guy who's going to pull up in a Trans Am and like
Trans Am.
take your mom down to the local burger joint to have a milkshake or something.
Right. With the 8-track
Yes.
plan.
Whereas like
Reminds me of an old Simpsons joke. The way you guys are talking about this
whereas
stuff now.
like Rogers right now
Look at
with
those
the mustache
sideburns.
he has
He looks
right
like
now.
a girl.
Anyway, Rogers with the mustache he has right now has me a little worried that he'd be driving around in a blacked out van. So I mean, it's a little freaky right now. And then the Titans started Ryan Tannehill this weekend. I mean, there's not much else I can say. This doesn't make any sense to Mike. But if you're starting Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback, you have problems.
It's like you don't even care anymore.
Yeah, really, it is. It is. And then on to the AFC West, which may have some connection to some people listening. That has the Kansas City Chiefs, the Oakland Raiders, the Denver Broncos, and the LA Chargers.
Cool.
Formerly San Diego Chargers.
Formerly San Diego. It's hard for me to say.
Oh wow.
LA.
Okay, they're back to LA now.
They're
Wait,
back.
No,
They're
to
LA
They're
now.
to
now
LA.
to
No,
LA.
they've always been San Diego. Well, actually, they haven't always been. They were
Were
something else
Raiders
before San
okay?
Diego.
Did the Raiders go back to LA?
Okay, Raiders
and
were
then
in
went to
Oakland.
Vegas, or
No.
they go back to Oakland and then Vegas?
Raiders were in Oakland, went to LA, went back to Oakland, are going to Vegas.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not there yet.
They announced that like 2 years ago, didn't
And
they?
I think it's next year or the year after.
Why is it taking
Yeah,
so long?
I know they're building their stadium right now, but yeah,
I could
What
say
are they
things, but
making
would
it
be-
out of?
gold, black gold,
Yeah, I have
silver
no
and
idea.
black gold.
All I know is that it's
They
gonna
like
happen at some
announced
point.
that the Raiders were going to Vegas before the last election.
Yeah.
And it's not done yet.
I mean, these things take time.
Why? I'm curious
They gotta
about
build a
that.
stadium.
They had to
Hey,
build
we'll
a
finish out
stadium. It wasn't like there was
Finish out the season or the next one.
That's
Like,
why it's just going to be playing at like the Taj Mahal or something.
I mean-
like, what are the
Okay, here's the thing.
MGM
Here's the thing.
Grand?
When the Rams left
Caesar's Palace Stadium. I'm sure that's probably what's going to be
the
called,
Rams,
to be honest.
when the Rams left St. Louis, they came to L.A. They didn't have a stadium built. What they ended up playing in is L.A. Memorial Auditorium, where
that's right, yeah.
where it was built for the Olympics and where UCLA plays, or
That's cool.
UCLA.
SC. Is it UCLA or SC?
No, I think it was UCLA. I think.
I'm not sure who plays there regularly. We may be wrong, we may be right. But anyway,
Maybe, yeah.
a college team normally plays there. So they play there as well. So there was already a stadium there for them to play in.
Mm-hmm.
There's no stadium built out there. There's never been a professional football team. There's never really been a college team of any great measure out in Vegas.
There hasn't been any professional sports team in Vegas. I don't think.
Yes,
now they're gonna be-
yes, hockey. There's
Oh,
a hockey
hockey.
team.
I was going to say,
That's
they're
right,
going to be
hockey.
hosting Super Bowls and stuff out there all the
Because
damn
when you
time
think
now.
of Vegas, you
kind
think
the
of
point.
hockey.
Oh no, they already have. They already actually. Yeah, middle of the desert. We're going to go to an ice rink.
We're going to put an ice rink in the middle
I
of the
think they
desert.
have actually already scheduled the Super Bowl that they're going to hold there. I think they've already scheduled
I'm sure
Super
that
Bowl.
they have. They're going to make that thing killer, man.
But anyway, the Kansas City Chiefs are leading. Although with the there was recently an injury to Patrick Mahomes.
Yes. Yeah.
Luckily, it's not going to be too bad, but he's missing a couple of weeks at the
He'll
very
be
minimum.
out anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks, is what I heard.
And that can be a tough time. If you, I
Yeah.
haven't looked at their schedule, but that can be a tough time. They're sitting at 5-2 right now,
Right.
But with the Raiders sitting at 3-3, they're not too far behind.
They're not.
They're only one game back in losses, so that's
Yeah.
a big deal. Raiders
You
came
mean
off a really good London game. See the while
Did you
the
say a
wins,
London game?
yes, they were in London.
Yeah.
There are four.
what?
There are
they'll
four football games held in London for the NFL every year now.
Yes.
You're telling me they've got an American football stadium in London. They don't have
No,
one built
actually-
in Vegas yet?
Actually, they're at soccer stadiums that are converted to be able to be used for football
Right.
during the time period the game comes.
So turn that hockey rink into something useful.
It's not big enough. For
Oh,
football.
really?
I don't think you could turn a hockey rink into a football.
No, way
field.
too small.
You can do anything if you try.
If you set your
anything is possible.
You can do anything you set your mind to, man.
Anyway,
If you had one shot or one opportunity, would you capture it or just let it slip?
we didn't have
Mom's
spaghetti.
Mom's spaghetti.
We didn't have spaghetti. All right, moving on. As far as the London game, yes, there are London games. For some reason, British fans do like American football. I guess that's a good thing. We'll convert them eventually. Maybe we'll take over their country.
Yeah, I mean,
not worth it, but still.
What could they call it? They
They
can't
call it football.
They call it football.
They call it American football.
They call it American football.
Oh.
Yeah.
They don't
'Cause
call it like
over there, they call soccer football.
something.
Yeah.
They
Football.
don't call American football soccer or tackle ball or
Tackle ball. Tackle ball.
No.
Tackle soccer.
tackle soccer.
Football.
I hope not, because I want to be friends with somebody that's British and likes American football. But if they called it tackle ball, I don't know if I could be their friend. That would
Tackle
be awful.
ball.
I feel I legit have like nothing to contribute to this conversation.
No, you do.
What?
Okay, not really, but
What?
still.
What tackle ball?
Great contribution, Mike.
I like it.
We'll put you in more.
Thanks.
Also in
Thanks.
the AFC West,
Good job, Mike.
I'm producing.
Yay!
also in the AFC West, we have the Denver Broncos, who are at 2-5 after giving Joe Flacco a hefty contract. Joe Flacco, formerly the quarterback of the Ravens. I understand you're laughing, sir.
What is happening?
Joe Flacco was the quarterback of the Ravens when the Ravens beat the Niners in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was awarded after that Super Bowl a very, very large contract for the Ravens.
Okay.
And never did anything else for the Ravens.
he went,
And then so the Denver Broncos have decided to yet again make a bad choice of quarterback and pay Flacco a bunch of money to do nothing.
yeah.
And I mean, his throws are abysmal. He's throwing way over receivers, way under receivers.
Bismol.
Exactly.
So
He's
like
awful.
it's showing in this season too. that
He's
it's
awful.
not
Yeah,
working.
It's
It's
bad.
worse in this season.
It's like hard to. It's like
you
embarrassing to watch. Really,
you wonder. This is one
They
of those
just
moments.
throw a blindfold on him underneath his helmet.
right?
I think back to the movie.
He'll do better if he's blindfolded.
Maybe. I think back to the movie
Ray
Little
Charles
Nicky.
could throw
okay?
better than this guy.
Get Stevie Wonder out of there.
I think back to the movie Little Nicky. One of my favorite moments in Little Nicky is when Dan Marino goes in front of Harvey Keitel's devil,
Right.
and is wanting to sell his soul for a Super Bowl victory.
Right.
Sorry,
yeah.
somebody stopped you from getting your one Super Bowl victory when you went there. People showed up to watch an offense, and the wrong offense showed up, right?
Right.
Anyway, 49er thing.
Oh, okay.
Randy Cross, right? Wasn't that Randy Cross?
Yeah.
So Dan Marino's there. He's wanting to sell his soul.
Right,
and
right.
And that was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And as Dan Marino's leaving, you did it for Namath. and then the devil says, yeah, but I was a Jets fan. So, okay.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if John Elway, the former quarterback of the Denver Broncos, back in the 4 Super Bowls that they went to and lost, and the 2 Super Bowls they went to and won.
Right.
I'm wondering if John Elway tried to go to the devil and secure some kind of a deal for a Super Bowl quarterback when he became the GM of the Denver Broncos, and like he got Peyton Manning and was able to win an improbable Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, and now he's cursed forever with quarterbacks.
That was that was because of the defense.
That was because of Von Miller beating it was because of the defense, and it was because of the fact that a quarterback that everybody loved and thought was the greatest thing ever to come is actually a crappy quarterback, and it's being proven this year, and it makes me so happy. I hope he gets cut or traded. There's a few players.
Yes.
There's a few players in the NFL that I have a personal rage hate for.
I can see that.
And there's this one specifically when we get to the NFC. This one specifically, I cannot stand this man, and I hope he gets out of the league. I just think that John Elway's going to have problems until he can finally figure out how to select a quarterback. I mean, this is a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he can't figure out how to find a good one.
Which is
And
ironic.
you have Vic Fangio,
That's
a
so
great
ironic.
defensive mind as their head coach, and their defense is worthless.
I know that's really surprising. That's like shocking this year, I think.
And then you have the
Flacco's not shocking, but their defense being what it is shocking.
with people like Von Miller.
Yeah.
It's a waste of great talent. Then you have the Los Angeles Chargers, who can we say it? Is it time? Is Phillip Rivers finally done?
Yes.
After all these years of gunslinging and trying to make something out of nothing.
Yes.
I think it's time.
I think it's time.
He just doesn't have it anymore. If you think Tom Brady is funny to watch run, Phillip Rivers is hilarious.
Oh.
He runs like literally he has a board attached to his back and it can't shift and move. I mean, that's the best way that I can describe his running style.
Part of me just wants to see this to see that
You
happen.
do.
He runs like he's in pain.
Yes, which he probably is. He's another older quarterback, but he's
like, ow, ow, ow.
So, I mean, yeah, maybe it's time. Chargers, you need to find a replacement. All right. After this long first session, we're going to take a break.
Oh, okay.
And we'll come back and talk about the NFC and, of course, get our chance to focus on our beloved 49ers.
Woohoo!
Sounds good, man.
We'll talk to y'all in a bit.
Hey friends, this is Mike from the Xennial Chronicles reminding you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Xencron, spelled Xenchron, to keep up to date on all things TXC. And please check out our official website, theXennialChronicles.com, or if that's too much to type, Xencron.com. Thanks again for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we are back, everybody. Thank you for so far listening to just all this football talk. As Mike said, it was a lot of download of information for him.
It really
to kind of
is.
deal with.
It really is. I am so still lost a lot.
And so I hope the people that are listening are really big fans of football so that it's really connecting with them, not just our normal listening fans. And even if it is just our normal listening fans, like 3 of you, I still hope that you enjoy at least hearing us talk about football.
Be
Maybe
real,
you'll learn
James.
something.
It's literally us 3 that are sitting at this table. Go back and listen to it.
Hey, no. I know we have at least one other person that listens to it and comments on a regular basis.
Hi, Alex.
Thank you, Alex. We love you. We love you so much. Hopefully you're listening to this while you're working and all your friends at work will be like, hey, they talked about you. Yes, we did. We love you.
Thanks for listening.
Yes. Thank you. Scott's like, who the hell is this Alex person? I have no idea, but they like him. So
I'm the guest star.
Yes, you are the guest star. I'm sorry. Did you not give him his
I
punch and
thought
pie?
I was the one saying dumb, obvious stuff today.
Yeah, that's normally his job. But okay, moving on. We're now talking about the NFC, the National Football Conference.
We are not talking about the NFC.
No, we are now.
We are talking about the NFC.
Sorry if I wasn't clear.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
We are now talking
About the NFC.
about the NFC.
We are now talking about the best conference.
I'll agree with that because
okay.
our team is in it. But
okay.
we'll start with the NFC East.
All right.
Last night was
Woohoo, passing Niner fan, I guess, is who I am.
well, we're not in the NFC. The Niners aren't in the NFC East, so we're
Wait.
not talking about them yet.
Oh, we're
East.
talking about the East.
Yeah.
No,
No,
we're in the NFC West, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're on the West.
But here's where I'm going to throw you the curveball. I want to mess with Mike's head here.
Oh, God.
This is the NFC East. Okay.
Okay.
Here are the teams in the NFC East. I'm going to list them in order of
I think you've
who's
done this
leading.
before, and I totally forgot what it was, so I'm going to love doing this again.
The NFC East consists of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
The look on his face is amazing. Wait for it. The Philadelphia Eagles. Now, that one makes sense, right?
Sure.
of.
Okay.
Okay.
More so than
it's,
Dallas.
It's yeah.
New York Giants
Okay.
and the Washington Redskins.
Washington State.
No, Washington,
DC.
D.C. They actually play in Landover, Maryland, but they're Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So, I mean, that makes sense, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Dallas
Dallas.
confuses you, huh?
Dallas is nowhere east. Dallas is definitely not east. Dallas is 2 time zones away from east. Is that
So
correct?
let me just throw
Yeah,
this out
if
at you.
the
real
They're
quick.
central, right? Dallas is central.
If the planet would have flipped sideways, then
Here, let me throw this one at you real
Flip
quick.
the planet east.
So when you have the NFC South, I'm going to just list the NFC South
Why
teams real
are they
quick.
there?
Hold on. Let me list the NFC South teams real quick. Okay?
Were the
NFC
Cowboys
South.
originally from Florida?
No. It's always been in Dallas.
the Bahamas.
So the,
The
NFC
Bahama Cowboys.
the NFC South teams are, Mike,
Sounds like a drink.
It does.
Bahama Cowboys.
Give me a Bahama cowboy.
I mean, what does that have in it? I
have no idea.
Coconut, some tropical punch, and
Bath salts and shame.
if you're
And
getting in
barbecue
Florida,
sauce. Barbecue sauce.
Barbecue. All right. I think I might want one of those. Extra bath salts. The NFC
Or
South.
extra. Give me a double bath salts.
The NFC South. I'm gonna mess with your head some more with this. NFC South consists of the New Orleans Saints. Makes sense, right?
Right.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
Okay.
Atlanta Falcons,
Okay.
Carolina Panthers. Now, wouldn't it be better maybe to have the Carolina
Why
Panthers?
wouldn't you just flip Carolina and Dallas?
Would make sense. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they don't want to.
They don't want to, because there's rivalries between the thing is
Well, I didn't
divisions
know that
create.
I don't want to was a factor in the
We don't
geography of our nation.
I'm just gonna. Apparently,
It's our
hold
league.
on,
We'll
hold
do
on.
what we want.
Hold on. I just want to comment that there are political forces that would believe that the "I don't wanna" is a great way to get out of having to deal with, I don't know, subpoenas. Moving on, though.
Whoa!
Moving on, though.
Touche.
Moving on,
Why don't you just subpoena Dallas to the west then?
because Jerry Jones wears red hats occasionally.
So he would
Moving on.
He would ignore the subpoena.
Moving on. Before I get too far down that road,
We're getting
Mike,
deep. We're
I'm
getting
gonna
deep.
get down that road.
We're getting deep.
Steer it back
Keep
to the
me off.
NFL. Steer back to the
The main reason is they don't want to break up these
Hashtag
rivalries.
subpoena Dallas.
Let's start that going. They don't want to take away these rivalries that are longtime rivalries. The thing about being in the same division, you play your division teams that are in the same divisions you twice each season.
Okay.
So rivalries develop. For instance, the 49ers and the Rams have one of the longest standing rivalries in the NFL.
That's true.
And I think, what are we, at almost equal or within a game or two of being equal over the series?
It's almost even.
And it's like 130, 140 games that the two teams have played against each other.
Wow.
Over all the years.
So it's been practically 50-50 this whole time?
This is a rivalry that is a massive rivalry. In the 80s, we were well ahead of them. In the 90s, they caught up.
yeah.
Especially late 90s. They caught up pretty heavy.
Yeah. Kurt Warner.
Yeah, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame grocery bagger.
Grocery.
Literally, dude was a grocery bagger and then got brought in to be a backup quarterback. The main quarterback goes
That's true.
down.
It's actually a
and,
true story.
And he
Wow,
ends up starting
that's-
and taking him to the Super Bowl and
Yeah.
having one of the best offenses
Like he wasn't like in
ever.
college or nothing
No,
like
he was
that?
in college. He was in college. He was drafted originally by the Packers, of all people, as a backup
Yeah,
to
that's
Brett
true.
Favre. Got cut by the Packers, went to the Arena Football League, Spend a little time in the Arena Football League, which
Arena
pays you
football?
almost nothing.
You mean that? Wait, arena football? That offshoot of football that was started by Vince McMahon?
No, different one than
Different
the one
one.
Vince McMahon did.
You're thinking
Okay.
of the XF? What was
Yeah,
that
the
called?
XFL.
Different one.
Isn't that
Ari-
what that was called? Though it was called arena football.
No, it was a style of arena football, but it wasn't called arena football. Arena
Right.
football is literally an arena football league.
Oh, okay.
Called
okay,
arena
okay.
football.
All right.
He was, and while he was doing that, getting paid almost nothing, he started grocery bagging and working at grocery stores.
Damn.
And then he got then he got the job at
make
the
ends
Rams.
meet somehow.
Yeah, he got
Okay.
the job at the Rams as a backup quarterback. The main quarterback goes down. He steps in, and suddenly best offense like ever at that time.
Damn.
At that time, yeah.
And I mean, admittedly, he had weapons that were Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame. Marshall Faulk, probably Isaac Bruce, Terry Holt. That's one of the other receivers. But I mean, Marshall Faulk is enough that guy is enough to change almost an entire franchise's history. He was such a great running back, and he was what one of two to have ever done the 2,000, right? The 1,000 rushing, 1,000 catching.
Yeah.
Only two running backs in the history of the NFL have had 1,000 yards running and 1,000 yards catching in a single season.
Yep.
Marshall Faulk was one. Roger Craig was the other. 49ers.
Damn.
Word.
Yep. So, anyway, back to the point of it. The rivalries are important. And that's why the rivalries between the Cowboys and the Eagles and the Cowboys and the Giants and the Cowboys and the Redskins, because everybody kind of hates the Cowboys, are legendary rivalries, and they don't want to break that up.
Okay.
Those games are games that people watch. Those games are games that people care about.
Okay. See, this makes more sense. Oh, I get it. It's the money part. I
and in
understand.
fact, last night was the Cowboys against the Eagles.
I'm not saying that in a condescending tone. I totally get it.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's giving the fans what they want.
The Cowboys and the Eagles played last night. They were both 3-3, so they were playing for kind of who would take the lead in the division.
Right.
Cowboys took the Eagles apart last night.
Oh, did they?
It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
It was completely embarrassing.
I was kind of a little surprised by that.
I was expecting the Eagles to put on much more, but I'm thinking that we're finally starting to see the truth of Carson Wentz, the Eagles quarterback.
Yeah.
I've never really thought he was that good. If Nick Foles, a lifetime basically backup quarterback, could take them to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl,
And
with the Eagles,
not only did he win the Super Bowl, who'd they beat?
the Patriots of all
Exactly.
people, they beat the Patriots
Exactly
in the Super
right.
Bowl.
They beat the Patriots.
And
Nick Foles, who was basically a backup quarterback, beat Tom Brady in the
Damn.
Super Bowl.
And that's the thing is, I mean, you look at it. Tom Brady lost Super Bowls to Nick Foles and
Eli Manning.
the lesser Manning brother by far,
And he lost to Eli twice.
twice. I mean, admittedly, it's nice for Eli because anytime they're having a family get together, Dad, who was a football player, Archie Manning,
Right.
he played for the Saints for many years.
Yes.
Dad's fingers are empty. He never got no jewelry to put on.
Right.
Now Peyton's got two pieces of jewelry. He's got two.
Yeah.
But Eli can go, oh, really? You got two pieces of jewelry? That's nice. I got two as well. But I beat Brady for him.
The other thing,
Nice.
too, not only did he beat Brady, but also in both the Super Bowls that Eli was in, he was the Super Bowl MVP in both of them.
Yep. And I believe, was it Von Miller?
Von Miller was
in the Broncos one?
In the Broncos one.
Yeah, in the Colts one, it was Peyton.
It was Peyton in the Colts, yeah.
And Von Miller was the reason the Broncos won that game by far.
No doubt.
But anyway, the Eagles are not really showing much in the way of form this year. Again, Carson Wentz is showing his lack of ability. And I don't know. I was thinking Dallas Cowboys were going to be showing that because they finally paid Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
But they were still waiting to pay Dak Prescott, and I'm not feeling Dak Prescott may get the pay.
I don't think so either.
He's just not showing
enough. Not after this season. No.
So the New York Giants, this is where Eli Manning used to play, and in fact started the first couple games of the year. The Giants lost those games, and as a result, Eli Manning got benched for a rookie, Daniel Jones, who's actually been playing pretty decently. He was able to win two games.
This is this season? Manning's been benched?
The final Manning has been benched. Eli has been benched.
Final Manning.
Which finally, because let me tell you something.
They
right
will
now.
never have children.
Eli, Eli,
Manning.
Well, Eli has never been as good as his brother. Even though he won those two Super Bowls, it was based on a defense that was just unbelievably amazing defense that knew how to take apart.
Didn't you just say that he got MVP too?
He did, but he shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, he played pretty well in those 2 Super Bowls, though. I mean,
No, there were 2 circus catches that should not have happened that made those Super Bowls happen. Okay, the helmet catch. Come on, man.
I remember. I remember.
There's the helmet catch, and then there's another one on the sideline. In fact, I was watching the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl, Seattle Seahawks and the Patriots Super Bowl. I was watching that with a Patriot fan, and it was a back and forth. This was one of those Super Bowls where it was a back and forth Super Bowl. It was a hard fought Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And you get that moment where there's that circus catch falling on the ground, bobbling, and finally catching it that you didn't think was going to get caught by the Seahawks. Was it Lockett or was it Tate? I don't remember who made the catch.
I don't remember.
But it was one of those catches that's like circus catch happens, and I look over at my buddy who's the Patriots fan. I'm like, dude, circus catch. You guys ain't going to win this game. You ain't going to come out of this. And he's like, I know. Oh my God, I know. They did a circus catch. I thought we might be able to pull it off, but it's just like the Giants games. And of course, you have literally one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history of the reserve cornerback stepping in front of a pass and intercepting a pass on the goal line on a play where if you have the best runner in the game at that time, Marshawn Lynch, you don't hand off the ball to him. Instead, you go for a quick slant. That's been a play that's been in your playbook. The opponents know you have it. And for some reason, the weekend before, they had drilled the defense in this play. The cornerback sees the play happening. He bites on it, intercepts the ball. You lose the Super Bowl because you didn't hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Give that boy his Skittles and let him run. Nope. Let's try to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Let's get creative.
That was one of the most controversial like
Calls
decisions ever. In
Admittedly, at that time, there was a facial expression that happened that just made my day. I didn't want the Patriots to win, but I wanted the Seahawks to win even less because that's a new Niner rivalry.
Right.
And though he is a teammate now, he's on our team, and he's one of our guys. Richard Sherman's face at that moment was priceless. It was only 2 weeks removed from him robbing the 49ers of the chance of being in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't it?
No, it was the Broncos one.
Oh, that was the Broncos one.
It was the Broncos. So actually, it wasn't. Yeah. But still, I didn't like the guy.
Okay.
And to see him so sad and so hurt at that point in time, that made me happy.
It was a screenshot.
Now I don't want to see him have that face because it means our team is doing bad.
Yeah.
But then it was
we like him.
So beautiful. Well, there's a reason why I like him. I'll explain that. Mm-hmm. It has to do with his contract, man.
He told me about this last week.
Yeah, when he left, the Seahawks and ended up going to go with the Niners. One, the fact that he negotiated his own contract, which is amazing. He's negotiating it with a front office that is very team friendly with their contracts. They don't give players big money for nothing.
Right.
They are very, very stingy about how they hand out money.
Right.
And how they set their contracts up. If they're going to hand you out money, fine. They have the free, let's say they have that year free money in the cap to hand you, but they're going to set it up to where you get this money now, but later we can bail out of you at any point in time, and it's not going to hurt us in the long run. Right. It's going to be better for us in the long run, and it's going to be based on whether you do good or not.
Right.
When Richard Sherman came in and set up this contract, over half of the money that he had set up in it was based on incentives, was based on his personal performance. So if he didn't perform, he didn't get paid. He only made half of what he was being offered.
Right.
And his first year, he didn't because he was injured.
Right.
And couldn't get paid. He didn't do enough. He didn't make Pro Bowl. He didn't get into the playoffs. He didn't play enough snaps to get all of his bonuses.
Right.
But he said at the time, I'm doing this contract this way because I'm betting on myself. I'm betting on my own ability. I'm proving to them that I can do this and I'll get paid for what I do. I got to have respect for that, man.
I totally respect that.
The context is that he actually inserted those incentives into the contract on his side.
No, they were part of the negotiating between him and Parang Marath, the guy who does the contract for the 49ers.
Okay.
I think I said his name right. He's got a weird name. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things of he went in and negotiated. Now, almost all the agents that looked at this deal said, I would never negotiate that type of deal because the agents want to get as much guaranteed money for their players as possible.
Right. Well, that's because that gives them
they want their piece.
And then, that also makes it so that other players want to go to them as agents because they know that agent's going to try to get the big money. Sherman wasn't about necessarily getting the big money. He'd already made some decent money from the Seahawks. His point was to get on a team that he felt was a team that he could work with and grow with and be a part of. And then if he's going to get paid, it's going to be for what he does. So that and his thing is really that if you take the selfish part in, because there is a selfish part to this, his thing is when he's able to hit all of those numbers and get all that pay, he can look back and say, yeah, you know why I'm paid this much? Because I'm that good.
I earned it.
Yes, I earned it.
Yeah.
And I got to respect that guy.
Yeah.
I got to have respect for that guy.
There's something about, I can see
And
that.
so
I remember hearing about all the showboating and
that was where
all the trash talking and all that stuff he was doing beforehand. But you have to give him that.
Although actually, when you do some research on that, you find out the biggest trash talk thing for the Niner fans was in the NFC Championship game. He bats the ball away from Michael Crabtree on a fade route to the right side of the end zone. Horrible play call that lost us the Super Bowl and lost us an NFC Championship game. So glad we don't have to deal with Michael Crabtree anymore. But you come to find out later that the actual problem in this situation was Michael Crabtree, who is apparently not a very good player to have around and be around. Since leaving the 49ers, he's bounced to about 4 or 5 different teams. He's been ejected from multiple games for fighting with corners.
Yeah.
He's a receiver. And Aqib Talib, I believe, is the one that he's had the biggest feud with. And I mean, literally, I'm not talking just fighting like pushing and shoving off of the field in like the team areas, rolling on the ground, punching each other while still in uniform.
Well, like that fights level in the locker
of fighting.
Room and stuff?
Yeah. Hardcore fighting.
What the hell?
I mean, there was one fight that lasted like 10 minutes. He was.
That's long for that is a long.
These two
fight.
people just slugging it
10
out.
10 minutes.
Yeah,
I was not sad to see him go.
And so we don't know how much of that issue with Sherman was Crabtree and how much of it was Sherman at this point. You have to kind of wonder. But anyway, at this point, Dallas Cowboys lead the NFC East. I mean, I don't know. I think any team that comes out of that is going to be third or fourth seed at best, and probably easily out of the playoffs quickly.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go deep in the playoffs.
And the Washington Redskins, they may have some life with their new coach. They didn't this weekend, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with them. On to the NFC North, we have the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears, and the Detroit Lions.
Well, at least those all 4 make sense.
Okay, those 2 make sense.
Yes.
The Detroit Lions not the Detroit Lions. The Minnesota Vikings are starting to finally come together. Cousins is finally starting to become worth that guaranteed contract that he had.
Yeah.
Contract that luckily he never would have got from us.
Yeah.
But you have the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, which is, I'm sure you know Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. That's at least one player that you definitely know for sure. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers is firing on all cylinders. And he finally has a defense to help him out.
That's the thing. It's like he's never really had a good defense, really. I mean, that I can remember. And now he doesn't have to worry about doing it all by himself. This
is still a scary team. I actually feel kind of good because we do get to see them in the regular season.
Yeah.
I mean, win or lose that game, at least we know where we stand with a team that I think has the potential to be NFC champion by easy stretch of the means.
I mean, you look at that last game. I mean, against the Raiders. I mean, Rodgers was like a perfect game.
Yeah, he was on fire.
It was just. No.
And there was nothing that was this last weekend. There was nothing that the Raiders could do that game. Nothing.
His accuracy was just amazing. I mean,
you know what I love about
defend.
Rodgers? You know what I love about Rodgers is he is one of the best people at getting the big plays from defensive mistakes.
Oh, big time.
He's able to get 12 men on the field on the defense easier than anybody else I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's fantastic at that. What'll happen is the offense and defense will be shifting out players, and he'll get his players shifted in enough time and get the ball snapped.
Right.
While a defensive guy is still trying to get off the field, it'll be 12 men on the field, which is a penalty. And he gets yardage in. And is it a first down for 12 men, or is it just yardage?
I think it's just yardage.
So wait a minute. This is like an in-between play race that goes on every single
and
play?
He'll watch it and he'll do it as often as he can. And then he's really good at when
so he gets field advantage for getting his guys on the field faster.
Yep, and getting the ball snapped fast enough. And then what he'll do is whenever there's the defensive offsides penalty, defender jumps offsides, jumps early, moves early. It's like he can see it like no other quarterback can.
Yeah.
And he just unloads the ball. in a play that he was not designed, he just unloads it because it's a free play at that point.
It's a free play.
Yeah.
So
it's a free play because it's going
So
to be
they
a
get
penalty.
wherever they're going to
yards.
get, and then on top of that, okay.
He's going to get yards no matter what. So if it's intercepted, it doesn't matter because the interception is being called
the play
back and
plays
gets the
over,
yards.
and that's it.
Right.
But if
he gets a big play, and I've never seen another quarterback react as quickly to those moments and actually make a score on those moments or make a long gain. He just always is able to react quickly to those. He's never caught off guard with
So let me get this straight real quick because that's a good point. So you're telling me that if somebody were to jump early, right?
defense specifically.
Yeah, defense jumps early, the play gets called, or the play gets flagged.
Well,
right?
it'll get flagged. The play continues until the end of the play.
But if he makes a gain,
Then you can
on that flagged play.
Then what they can do is they can refuse the penalty and take the gain on the play.
Right.
so
that's
he
why
has the option, and if
The
not, then
team has the option to. The coach of the team has the option.
so if
to
he
take
doesn't
the penalty
complete
or
the
not.
pass, then they're just
Or
like,
if it's
okay, never mind, do over. Yeah,
even if it's intercepted,
it doesn't matter.
if they take the penalty, it's
Yeah, that's why it's called a free play. Basically, you can just like
you can do
Okay,
whatever
there's
you
no
want.
risk.
No,
Period.
none at all.
Yeah.
And
Sick.
the thing is,
Okay.
I've seen. I saw one recently. I think there was one even, if not this weekend, there was one last weekend with the 49ers, and our quarterback did not react in that way.
Yeah.
And he's still young, and I'll argue with that. We'll argue that point in a minute. But Aaron Rodgers does this like nobody else does, and he just has that awareness. It is sad to think that it is very possible he could have been a 49er. He wanted to be a 49er.
He did.
And we passed on him for another quarterback that
Alex Smith.
that did not pan out for us very well. And now may never play again.
What
because of
happened?
his injuries.
Wait,
He got a very severe leg injury, and he's had multiple surgeries
because
on
I
it.
know he left to another team.
He's,
right?
he's technically on the Redskins at this point, but he has
Yeah.
not played in a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And it's very
Oh.
possible he may never play again.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I remember hearing that name some years ago.
Moving on to the NFC South, we have the New Orleans Saints, the Carolina Panthers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Atlanta Falcons. Let's start with the Falcons, first of all. Again, this is a dumpster fire. I'm going to be surprised if Dan Quinn is still keeping his job, the coach of the Falcons. Matt Ryan went down with injury, right?
Did
This
he?
last game, he injured his ankle, I think. But
Okay, I didn't
he's
know
not
that.
looking at form as he used to. It's terrible in
No.
Atlanta.
Well, I mean, hello, look who used to be their offensive coordinator.
Oh, right.
So
Pretty good coach.
Yeah, a guy by the name of Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, that guy.
So
Head coach of the Niners. Mike.
yeah, he's now the head coach of the
okay.
Niners.
Yeah. And they really haven't been the same since.
Yeah, it's true. They
haven't.
haven't. I mean, when Shanahan left, you noticed the difference.
Huge drop off in production. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with them. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, decent season. Jameis Winston finally starting to do a little more good than bad, but he's still a interception machine. Carolina Panthers, here's the interesting one. Cam Newton, of course, goes down early in the year. And this Kyle Allen guy has come in and won every game so far, and in
I'll tell you.
commanding fashion.
Yeah, it's been wow. I mean, he's really been catching everyone's attention.
I mean,
that's for sure.
he's able to hit Christian McCaffrey as a legitimate threat every single time he needs to, and he's commanding everything he needs to in the office. Very few interceptions, if any, I don't think. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if he's thrown one at all, but just really good command of things. He's making Cam Newton look like, frankly, the idiot I have always thought Cam Newton was. I have never liked him.
He's making Newton look bad, really bad.
And this is the player I was talking about in the first part. I cannot stand Cam Newton. He's
I
an
can't either.
arrogant.
he is without a doubt the
inefficient,
most arrogant. And
he's just an ass, complete and utter. And to see him injured, not being able to play, and this guy coming in and just running the tables with things has been beautiful.
I mean, the Panthers really they kind of like saw new life with.
And
with,
actually,
you know,
the only downside is we still have to face them this year. And
Our next game.
When I was looking at the schedule at the start of the year, I was like, "Oh yeah, we'll take down Cam Newton right now. Cam Newton is garbage right now. He's nearing the end of his career." And then he goes down, and this other guy comes in. It's like, "Ah, damn, this is not going to be an easy
it's like,
game.
who is this?
This is not going to be fun at all." And then the New Orleans Saints. Let me tell you something about the New Orleans Saints. Does the name Drew Brees mean anything to you, Mike?
Heard the name.
Okay, so this is another name that you've actually heard.
Yes.
This is a guy that's first ballot Hall of Famer as a quarterback. He is an amazing quarterback,
Okay.
especially for being a short guy. He owns a couple of records at this point,
He
yards and what?
Yeah. Well, right now he's the all-time leader in passing yards.
Okay, and then doesn't he have number of games with a touchdown in a row or something like that?
I believe yes.
I think he
yes.
got that record,
the number
too.
of consecutive games with a touchdown. Yeah.
This is a guy that a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. This is an amazing quarterback. He injured his arm a couple of games ago. Teddy Bridgewater, formerly of the Minnesota Vikings, who suffered a horrific leg injury a few years back, bounced around to a bunch of different clubs throughout that, and finally settled in as a backup for the Saints, has come out and shown why he used to be the starter of the Minnesota Vikings. He is playing some pretty good football, good enough that I think he's won every game he's quarterbacked in. This is another backup quarterback that's just flowing amazingly, and another team we have to face.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, I mean, when Drew Brees went down with an injury, I was like, oh well,
how is this going to happen? I mean, Sean Payton, the coach of the Saints, is a great offensive mind, but how is this going to happen? How is this going to work?
Right.
And Teddy Bridgewater has stepped in and made it happen. They didn't even have Alvin Kamara this weekend, and they still were able to make things happen against the Bears.
It was very commanding, fashion.
And the Bears, by the way, I say against the Bears have a very, very good defense.
Very good.
Oh, okay.
And for them to be able to put up the points that they did against the Bears was quite astonishing. It's an offense that this is another team that I firmly believe is Super Bowl contender without a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm just starting to get fascinated in the names at this point.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater sounds like a soul singer. Then, did you say Alvin Kamara?
Alvin Kamara.
Oh, Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Firebird.
Yeah, no, Kamara.
No, I'm okay. Alvin Kamara.
There's there are a few fascinating names within the NFL. Oh, isn't there God.
Drew Brees was always one that got me.
Drew Brees, okay. I don't think that's very interesting. I mean, his name is Brees.
Right, exactly. You think you heard the first time you hear it though, you think Breeze.
How about a linebacker whose last name is Merciless?
That's a thing?
That's a thing.
Who?
Quentin Merciless. Who does he play for?
Quentin Merciless?
Isn't
That guy
he-
sounds like a hitman.
Isn't he the Texan? Isn't he a Houston Texan?
I think it's Houston.
think he's a Houston Texan.
I think it's Houston.
Yeah, dude's last name is Merciless.
Quentin Merciless.
Okay, but have you ever seen the Key? Have you ever seen the Key and Peele sketches where they're like the college football people and they have like the weirdest names humanly possible?
No.
This is a thing you need to see. First of all, you get
The only
some
name
really
one I've
weird-
seen is the dude that mispronounces all of his students' names and gets all pissed when they try to correct them.
Aaron, Jake Quellen.
Jay Quedlin.
Yes. Now I have to show you the other one. You get some funny names. I mean, even on the 49ers, you have Quan Alexander,
Okay.
Kwan Williams.
Quan and Kwan, I'm
Yes.
assuming are spelled the same?
No, not though. That's the fun part. I mean, you get in all the teams, you have a few that are just some unusual and strange names. You have a few.
Teddy Bridgewater, that one. I don't know. That one.
Can't think of any.
Not off the top of my head.
Like
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith.
Well, like you sometimes you can get a
Who
simple
names
name.
their kid that?
Right.
Sometimes you
Come
get a
on.
simple name like Eric Armstead,
Okay.
but Eric is spelled Arik.
Yeah, well, you got to mix it up.
Or you get a guy that's here's a question for you. If you were to meet a guy named Solomon Thomas,
That's a good name.
what do you expect from a guy named Solomon Thomas?
Biblical.
Yeah, it's
Almost.
very biblical. It's like a he's
so
like
surprise
a
you-
stage name for a Christian theater actor.
So it wouldn't surprise you to hear that maybe he was a Stanford graduate.
No, not really.
Okay, how about DeForest Buckner?
Wow.
Yeah, his nickname is Defo, by the way.
Defoe.
My name's DeForest. People call me DeForest.
People call me Defoe. No, Defoe. No, I would have just started calling him D-Buck.
No,
But-
he's called Buck as well, but
Buck-
Defo
Buck
is what
makes
people
sense.
call him. Yeah. So there's some funny names out there, which of course brings us to
The NFC
NFC
West.
Yes, because I was mentioning these people. Thank you, Mark.
See the
Thank you.
segue?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I like
Scott,
it.
very
I like it.
good.
That's good.
I'll start at the bottom of the NFC West because we want to talk about the team that's currently at the
Right.
top. At the bottom of the NFC West, we have the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this has been interesting the past 2 weeks. Have you seen that they're starting to kind of come alive? Kyler Murray is getting his footing. Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray is the quarterback.
Okay.
First draft pick of the draft this last year.
All right.
Number 1 draft pick. In fact, the coach, Cliff Kingsbury, came in the offseason to the Cardinals and basically kept saying, no, we're not going to draft this guy. We're not going to draft this guy, to Kyler Murray.
Right.
Then they drafted him, and then they shipped off the quarterback that was the first round draft pick last year. Yeah. Weird stuff. Anyway.
My head's spinning.
Kyler Murray is starting
Like a soap opera.
to kind of show what he's doing, and he's able to work really well. Larry Fitzgerald's still in the game.
Yep.
Which, I mean, for a division opponent, you don't want to like him, but damn, I kind of like Larry Fitzgerald.
The guy's one of the best.
He's an amazing player, and then off the field, he's an amazing human being.
He really is.
Which is like,
easy
it's
to
a big
root
deal
for.
for me. I like my players to be decent people off the field, not just great players. And he's a wide receiver, by the way, for the Cardinals, sir.
Okay.
Number 11 specifically. And he's starting to climb himself up on some of the lists of all time receiving stuff.
He is.
I'm gonna hate to see it when he does retire, but at the same time, he has a tendency to be the one to beat us in games. So I'm not gonna necessarily be that sad to see him go.
Yeah.
They're sitting at 3-3.
It'll be bittersweet.
Huh?
Be bittersweet.
I get that. They're sitting at 3-3-1 right now. That one being a tied game. Yes,
Okay.
it does happen. So they're at the bottom, but they're still well in play, even at 3-3-1. They're not completely knocked out of things. And they're definitely not a team to take lightly, wouldn't you say? We still have to play them twice. We've only played one division opponent at this point.
I would not underestimate him.
We always seem to have problems with the Cardinals, regardless of how good their schedule is.
Yeah.
And this now, I don't know. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Rams. And yes, last week? Was it last week or the week before?
It was a week ago Sunday.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, yeah.
It was a
last
pretty, the Niners played the Rams, and it was a pretty decisive victory, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Keyword defense.
Yeah, you had one.
They gave up a touchdown on the opening drive and then nothing
for
the rest
55
of the
minutes.
game.
It was amazing. The Rams
So it was a 6-0 game?
it
It was
the,
20-7 was the final score.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 20-7.
But I mean, in that game, I think the Rams went for it on fourth down like 3 or 4 times.
There was 9 times on third down that they were stopped. They did not convert a single third down. 9 third downs, no conversions. 4 fourth downs, no conversions.
Yep. One of them was on the goal line.
Yeah, the Niners held them to no conversions on third and fourth down. I think that while they did win this weekend in a very decisive game over the dumpster fire Atlanta Falcons, I don't really feel that. I feel that they're starting to kind of fall off a bit, and part of it is people are seeing the weakness in Jared Goff. He is not that good a quarterback, and you put any kind of pressure on him, and he starts to fold immediately.
Yeah,
he's reminiscent to me of later years Carson Palmer.
I would agree with that.
He's when he's protected, he can be great and do some amazing things. But the second you start putting pressure on him, he folds.
Yeah, I mean when their running back went out, I mean if you take away the running game and just put it on his shoulders,
he can't carry it.
He caves.
He can't carry it.
Yeah.
And Todd Gurley being the running back for the Rams, sir. And these are the defending NFC champion team.
Yeah,
and they just can't do it. People are starting to figure out how to put the holes in Goff's ability to do things. And once you do that, he's ineffective. And you're not going to get much done with him.
Yep.
That brings us to the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
Who have been, I would say, is now while the Rams have been a long-term rival of the Niners, the Seahawks are the modern-day rival of the Niners.
Definitely.
This is the team that we're trying to figure out how to get past.
Yeah.
As you said, Russell Wilson is playing some really good football.
Wilson this season is, I mean, he's making himself a contender for MVP.
I get that. I do get that. But here's something I want to talk about when it comes to the Seahawks, okay?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the fact that the Seahawks have played some similar teams to the 49ers.
True.
First game of the season, the Seahawks played the Bengals. Now,
Right.
the Niners played the Bengals as well.
That's right.
The Seahawks 21-20 with the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
You remember what the Niners score was?
What was that? Was 24-20? 24-20?
No.
Which one was it?
A lot different than that.
With the Bengals?
Against the Bengals, 49ers?
Yeah.
I'll get to that in a minute. Steelers 28-26. Okay?
Right.
Those are 2 teams that we played as well. Right? The Niners played as well.
Mm-hmm.
Niners in those games. We played the Bengals 41-17.
Oh, that's right.
Now, the 24-20 game was the Steelers game.
That was the Steelers game. That's right.
Now the thing is, the Steelers game was close, and both those games for the Seahawks were close. Steelers game was close, but let me tell you what happened in the Steelers game, Mike, because I know you didn't watch it. The 49ers turned over the ball 5 times.
Okay, yeah, I heard about this this joke.
But they still won the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
On the
heard.
strength, I mean, defense, once again. I mean, that's what bailed them out in that game with those turnovers.
I remember hearing about this. People kept saying the joke, you need to open a bakery with all those turnovers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened. No, but I normally work on the weekends, so I always miss all the football games.
So, Seattle, while Russell Wilson is putting up good numbers and doing some good things, I don't think Seattle as a team as a whole is really playing all that well. Their defense is porous. I think people can run through it without a problem. People can pass it. They're not afraid of it anymore.
I agree with that. I think
it's all on Russell Wilson.
Wilson's been carrying them,
and I think if there's an ability to stop Russell Wilson, I think you have the capability of being successful with the team.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And beating them. That takes us on to our main team.
Okay.
The 49ers. So starting with the Niners.
Yeah.
Wow, this is the thing we really want to talk about.
Yes.
This is the big deal.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of a lead-in.
We have a 6-0 team at this point. Mm-hmm. Which is it's something that we haven't been able to experience, just winning in general.
First time since 1990.
Yeah.
6-0.
Which was 90 was that the Super Bowl year, or was that the year after the Super Bowl?
That was the year, I believe, when they were trying to three-peat.
And
after Super Bowl 23 or 24.
And Montana was injured, and then Craig fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
This is how these things stick in our memory for a long time because they hurt.
Yeah.
They hurt very badly.
Deep scars.
This has been interesting in the sense that the Niners have always been kind of known as an offensive team. They shouldn't have been. All of the Super Bowls that we've won have been based on amazing defenses.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true. It's what a lot of people don't think about back in the 80s. Like, for example, like the one season when they went 15-1. Yeah. They had the top ranked defense in the entire league that year.
Wow.
I mean, well, you watched the last Super Bowl that Joe Montana played in against the Denver Broncos, and literally our defense stopped them from doing anything.
Yeah.
They were the number one. I think they the number one offense coming in?
They were the number one offense,
and we just destroyed them.
We beat them 55-10.
Yeah.
So only give up 10 points to the number one offense at that time.
Good Lord.
And then in the last Super Bowl that we were in with Steve Young as the quarterback that we won, I should say, last one we won, that was another lopsided event.
Very lopsided. And that was another great defense. That was one of my favorite defenses though. Yeah,
well, it was my favorite year of play just because I love those unis. The uniforms they wore that year are just great, so beautiful. But looking at this year, it's been really interesting because in those past years when we've had the good defense, we've had at least some really good offense to balance it. The offense has been still, I think, struggling. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, except for the running game. I mean, the one consistent thing that's on offense has been the running game. They've been. It has been.
It's been a really good running game, but
But I mean, I would agree as far as like the passing part of it. With Garoppolo, I like Jimmy.
I do too,
and I think he has potential. And I know he's still young, and he's still only had a few so many starts or whatever.
He's only had 16 starts, and that's the thing is he may have been in the league for a few years, but he sat as a backup to Tom Brady for years.
Yeah,
he had 2 starts in as a New England Patriot, but he's only had 16 starts where he's been the starter. 16 football games. That's a rookie season basically.
I was gonna say that's a single season.
So, and if you look at quarterbacks that have been Hall of Fame quarterbacks that have sat and then finally got their start, that's still an amazing. His win percentage in that time period, he's only lost 2 of those 16 games.
Yeah.
So in that time period, he's been able to do some amazing things, and I think it's still much a growing period. He needs that time to grow. He needs that time to.
That's the way I look at it too. I mean, he's still growing. He's still learning at this point. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think he has potential.
And I mean, you remember the days of when Steve Young was brought into the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Young was acquired in a big trade while Joe Montana was still the quarterback. Now, this is something you remember Joe Montana, Mike.
Yes.
Right? You remember the Joe Montana years. What most people don't realize that aren't big football fans was that Steve Young was brought in to replace Montana before Montana was ready to leave. But when after Montana had only won 2 Super Bowls, he still hadn't won his last 2 Super Bowls, and Steve Young was brought in to replace him. And Bill Walsh kept trying to put Steve Young in the game to replace Joe Montana. The problem was Steve Young wasn't good enough then to actually do it.
Right.
And he kept having to put Joe back in because Steve Young couldn't hack it yet.
And then Joe had to come back and save the game a lot of the time, I'm sure.
No, it was just they'd lose a game, and the next game Joe would have to be brought back in.
Right, to start.
And it became a point where putting Steve Young into a game to start a game wasn't helping anything. It wasn't getting anything accomplished. It wasn't until Joe Montana had a major injury in this game that we had talked about.
That we were just
before.
talking about, yeah.
He got injured. Steve Young steps in. Roger Craig fumbles the ball. It's a playoff game or the NFC Championship. I don't remember which one it was. It was in the playoffs.
It was the NFC Championship
because then the Giants go on to win and go play the Bills
right.
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and
this was a moment where, I mean, Steve Young had to step in. Montana was too injured to come back, and in fact, he only played a half of a game. It was like a Monday night game. That the Niners were already winning the game. I think it was against the Lions. And it was a couple of years later, Montana came in and played one half of football, and then he was traded off at the end of that year to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And you remember that too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That was because you were seeing that, and it was like, this is my last time. This is probably the last time I'll see Montana wearing that number 16 in red.
Yeah.
Getting out there and playing.
That was heartbreaking.
It was sad. And I can say many Niner fans couldn't stand Steve Young for the first few years because he just wasn't there.
That's very true. There was the shoes that Young had to fill, what he had to do when he took over that starting position. That's why later on, when he won Super Bowl 29,
monkey on his back,
you see him on the sidelines, and he goes, "Will somebody take this monkey off my back, please?"
Yeah,
it's because that was
it really
on
was
his
pressure.
shoulders.
It was some major pressure to have to deal with.
Yeah, that was on his shoulders.
Although let's be honest, the Super Bowl happened 2 weeks before in the NFC Championship game.
Against the Cowboys.
Because the real Super Bowl that year was the Niners against the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was a good game.
And the real difference making was, of course, one of the dirtiest receivers to ever play the game, Michael Irvin, could not push around the cornerback that the Niners had paid a hefty sum of money to come play for them for 1 year.
A guy by the name of Deion Sanders.
Yep, probably one of the best to ever play the position of cornerback. And let me tell you something. Funny enough, here's a funny story. Before the Panthers were added into the league, before the expansion of the league, the NFC West actually had the Atlanta Falcons in it. To show you how weird
it did. It's true.
Things used to be. So we used to play the Atlanta Falcons. We used to play the Atlanta Falcons twice a year.
That's incorrect.
Yes, I know.
That is geographically incorrect.
I understand that, but that's the way it was.
Has anybody looked at a map?
Yeah, I don't.
Apparently, they don't look at maps there.
I don't know the NFL knew how to look at maps at that point in time.
Right.
But anyway, that was a year that was an amazing year. It was a year that we that fans harken back to. As much as the 80s, that was just beautiful.
Again, as I was saying before, as far as like great defenses in Niner history, you look at that defense. I mean, Deion Sanders. And then the rest, they had
Merton Hanks.
One of my all-time favorite players, Merton Hanks.
Oh, yeah.
They had,
Get the neck bob going whenever something would happen.
The funky chicken that he used to do. And then, up front, you had Bryant Young, Dana Stubblefield, the linebacker crew. You had Ken Norton Jr., Lee Woodall, Gary Plummer.
Yeah.
Marquez Pope, also the other cornerback. So, what
do you do?
That was like, and then,
this guy, see, this is a guy that loves that team. He loves that team.
That was a thing of beauty.
It really was, and especially after having lost some of the Titans in the secondary that we had.
Yeah.
When you lose somebody like a Ronnie Lott, and are you able to have still people that are able to come in and give you some kind of production?
Right.
But that was, and then you go to the offensive side of the ball, and all the people that were on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Taylor was still there.
There.
Probably Rice, one of the most underrated number 2 receivers ever.
Oh, no doubt. Rice was still there.
At the height of his career.
You had Brent Jones at tight end. You had Ricky Waters. You had William Floyd.
Floyd was so good. I love the fact that we're one of the few teams in the NFL that still keeps a fullback on roster. It's sad that he's injured right now, but Juice. Hey, here's one for you. Spell this one for me, Mike. Kyle, I'm sure you could get that right. Juszczyk. Spell Juszczyk.
Kyle Sushef.
I like the look on your face, man. And his nickname is Juice because his last name does start with a J. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Mike. It's a befuddled expression on his face. Just so you
trying to put
can know. That's a hell of a name.
There's so much dead air here. I'm
you just
sorry.
Don't know what to say.
No, I'm Juszczyk.
Juszczyk.
J.
No.
Phlegm.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect.
Are you Ahmed the Dead Terrorist? I mean,
Good Lord.
it's a heck of a name,
Yeah.
but it's nice to have him, and it's not nice to not have him right now injured.
Yeah.
But it's great to have a fullback in my mind, especially what he's wearing.
Which number is he?
He's wearing 44.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
44 being the fullback Tom Rathman from the 1980s era
Right. Rathman.
of the Niners.
Okay.
Is it shocking to you that we put all this stuff in our brain and keep it there?
It is, but not as shocking as the fact that they nicknamed the guy.
Juice?
Yeah, what the hell is wrong with these people?
Why?
Seriously?
His nickname is Juice.
Yes, that's stupid.
Do you know?
There was one other player named the Juice.
Yeah, but he's not the Juice. He's just Juice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
I didn't know that was.
And he's white.
Oh, dude.
Don't edit that, please.
Dude. Okay.
Sorry, had to go there.
Moving on.
But no, I mean it's refreshing to see, like you said, the running attack. I think the passing attack will get there for the modern 49ers. I think the passing attack will
I think
come
it's going
about.
to come along. And as of right now, again, the thing that I'm very excited to see this season, and I've mentioned this to you before, our defensive line this year is
It's phenomenal.
astonishing. I mean, they had, DeForest Buckner and Eric Armstead, and then you go out and you draft Nick Bosa, you acquire D Ford from Kansas City.
Yeah, and it's you got two. You then have these two guys on the edge. One that's youthful enough, and Nick Bosa being a first round draft pick, a rookie. He's youthful enough that he can play 3 to 4 downs at a time without any problem.
Yeah.
You bring in D Ford on obvious passing downs to be able to take the other side,
Right.
and literally it's let's grab our tackles and meet at the quarterback.
Exactly.
And if you make the quarterback step up in the pocket, you have Eric Armstead. You have these 2 6'7" guys in Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner, to just basically swallow him whole. They can reach around offensive linemen.
They're able to collapse the pocket so quickly.
It's
It's crazy.
Well, and I was giving Mike a little bit of a primer on how offenses and defenses kind of work against each other, and the idea of making an offense one dimensional and this is what's happened so far. The Niners have been able to, with their offense, get usually the first or second score in. They're able to get a score, or at least get up at least one score.
Yeah.
And once you start getting up a score or up by 2 scores, regardless of the points, if it requires them to have to score twice, be it a field goal and a touchdown, or even 2 touchdowns, whatever it is.
Right.
Once you get up by 2 scores, suddenly the opponent's offense has to start thinking of, we need to get moving faster.
We got to
There's only
start
so much
passing
time.
more. We got to start, yeah.
Exactly. The pass game becomes the issue. The second that happens, you're looking at total destruction by the 49ers. Because what the 49ers are able to do with their 4 down linemen is they can rush all 4 linemen.
And then drop everybody else back.
So you have, at the bare minimum, you have the 5 offensive linemen and your quarterback. More than likely, you're going to get at least one tight end there to try to help chip,
Right.
especially with Bosa and D Ford coming at you.
Oh, yeah.
That means you got 6 linemen with the addition of the tight end and the quarterback. That's 7 players. Now, how many on each side of the football, Mike? How many players?
11?
There you go, sir.
Thanks.
Get you involved in the situation.
Yeah.
So if you got 7 people,
I was about to count 12. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't think that's right.
That's a penalty.
so you got yes, it is. Yes, it is. Rodgers will catch it. So you got the 6 people trying to protect the quarterback. So that's 7 people engaged in this specific scenario. With 4 down linemen going at them, that means mathematically you have 4 possible receivers, running out into the defensive backfield trying to get the ball, with 7 people able to defend them.
Yep.
That's a numbers game you are not going to win.
Yep.
At least not with any kind of consistency. And that's where this is. That's what's happening is the moment that the Niners are able to, with their offensive running game, eat some clock,
Yep.
put some points on the board, just enough to get them up by 2 scores. The other team suddenly has to go into a pass mode, and the second they do that, the second they give up trying to do any kind of running, the second they give up trying to do anything more on offense than to pass, these 4 down linemen are powerful enough to be able to put that pressure. And what they've done that's made it different from the last 2 years, because I think this was building very much for the last 2 years.
Oh, they've been building this for the past couple of years.
You saw some flashes of it. The difference this year is each of the plays have 2 less seconds to happen.
Yeah.
2 seconds less.
Right.
Because the defensive line is getting to the quarterback 2 seconds faster this year than they did before. Now, you don't think of 2 seconds is much time, but Mike, you do audio work.
Yeah.
You're doing this engineering. 2 seconds can make or break just about anything. 2
Oh,
seconds,
yeah, absolutely.
So many things
2
can
seconds
happen.
is a long period of time. 2 seconds is probably about half the dead space I had when you asked me the last
There you go.
the last question.
And I mean, if you have, as you're going over and editing our podcast, when you have dead space of probably more than 2 seconds, you figure a way to edit that unless there's a purpose for it.
Yeah, definitely, because it's just you got to be able to keep people's attention. 2 seconds is a long period of time.
And in football, it really is. And the loss of that 2 seconds for the opposing team's offense is what's making this defense. That's again for 2 years they've been building this and putting this together, and the one component they haven't had is that 2 seconds of time.
Yeah.
The opposing quarterbacks have had that 2 seconds to do something,
Right.
and they don't have it anymore.
Wow.
And the thing is, you can tell by about the middle of the third quarter that the quarterbacks have figured out they don't have it anymore.
Right.
Because what ends up happening is the opposing quarterbacks start making mistakes.
Yep.
Because they're rushing things. Because they've realized this time isn't there for me anymore.
So they start forcing things
Or they're trying to make things happen and end up holding onto the ball for too long and getting caught.
Yep.
And that's where the strength of this is really coming from. That's where we're seeing this final resurgence. Is it there yet? The upside is
it's still improving.
well,
it's still
and
growing.
every week you're seeing improvement in every step of it. Every bit of the defense, even some in the offense. This last game, now this is where we have to be descriptive with you, Mike. This last game they played with the Washington Redskins. Torrential downpour the night before.
Okay.
They had the field covered, but 2 hours before the game, they pulled the tarp off the field. Still torrential downpour.
Yeah.
To the point of
So, wet field.
This
Mud.
not just wet.
It's just
was
this
mud.
field
Sloppy.
is completely sloppy, disgusting. People slipping and sliding all over the place.
Right.
So when you had pursuit on a quarterback or on a running back, if somebody dove to try to grab them, they slid a good 5 to 10 yards.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, there were plays that there was a goal line play with where it was a kind of an inside handoff to George Kittle, the
It
tight
was
end.
to
for
Kittle,
the,
yeah,
for the,
and he lost his footing.
yeah, he went to go and take a step and do a cut and completely lost his footing and fell in the backfield, and that's why he didn't get hurt.
Oh.
But he didn't score a touchdown, which he probably would have
Right,
if
yeah.
he didn't slip and fall. And they had
Exactly.
to settle for a field goal for that.
That
Score.
sucks.
Bad kicking conditions for the kickers. Both kickers, in fact, of the
Yeah,
teams.
you could lose your balance completely. Kicking.
Well, they both missed
both-
field goals.
Easy, makeable.
Well,
for them, yeah.
makeable, not easy. They were
I wouldn't say
beyond
easy, but
40
makeable.
yards.
Yeah.
Both of them
Yeah.
were beyond 40-yard field goals, but they were makeable field goals, especially for Robbie Gould. Up until this season, he's been a pretty automatic kicker.
He's been, yeah.
He's had a few issues this year.
It's been a bit of a challenging year
But,
for him. But
part of that has to do with the fact that we've had to cycle through multiple long snappers.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a different. The center who snaps the ball to the quarterback is not the guy who snaps the ball to the place kickers, the holder for the place kicker,
Right.
or the field goals, or to the punter. It's a different person. There's a long snapper because long snapping is a specific skill that's different than regular snapping for
then
the
just
center.
hiking the ball.
Yeah, it's a whole totally different skill.
Interesting. Okay.
Because there's a distance you have to cover and a specific timing you have to do it in. And if the timing is off and the delivery is off, it can really affect a field goal kick or an extra point kick.
Yeah.
It
Right.
can be a major deal on it. And we've had to cycle through a couple of different long snappers.
Yeah, that has
But-
been an issue this year.
It has been a major issue. But it's something that they're trying to work through and trying to make happen the right way. Actually, they're getting him back, aren't they? Their long snapper. He
think
had a
so.
suspension. I think he's back next week.
Yeah,
Kyle Nelson, maybe? A lot of Kyles.
a lot of Kyles,
Too many Kyles. I wish we didn't have so many Kyles, but hey,
including the head coach.
do what you got to do. But so it was, again, an exceptionally sloppy game, water everywhere, mud everywhere. You really couldn't pass the ball because wet ball is heavy. Receivers can't catch it very well. There was a few good pass plays by the Niners. The Redskins didn't pass beyond 12 yards.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was their farthest pass. Few good running plays by both teams. The Redskins started off their first drive again, like the Rams did the week previous, having a pretty good drive on the back of Adrian Peterson, probably one of the best running backs. He's had a lot of personal problems outside the field, but good running back, still running, and he's 35 now,
I think so.
and still running.
Yeah, And he had, he's had major injuries in the past
and been able to come back from them very well. But he had one drive worth of good running, and after that, nothing, smothered. So the big part, though, the very last play of the game, it's 9-0. The Redskins have the ball. There is a little bit of doubt of like, okay, before we got the last field goal, it was only 6-0. It was like if they had gotten the ball, it was like if they go and score, they could technically win this game. We got the ball back, kick the last field goal, get them the ball. They have like 23 seconds left.
I think it was less than that, actually.
So they ran one play, nothing happens. They ran a second play, and Nick Bosa, our wonderful rookie, beats the edge, and nails the quarterback right in the back for a sack to end the game.
Ends the game with a sack, which was very appropriate.
And then after he picks himself, not even fully up, just slightly up from knocking the guy to the ground, just goes into a full belly slide.
Just like a slip and slide across the field.
He slid a good 7-8 yards, and as he's doing that, other
players are
from
coming up, and they're all sliding too. And
sliding across the field. And
just to celebrate the win.
Yeah. The game's over.
Just like salmon during mating season?
Basically, yes, kind of.
I guess that's one way to look at it. Yeah.
That is one way to look at it. And then, of course, after
spawning.
Yes. that gets, I don't want to talk about the thing I was about to say now. I was going to reference the interview afterwards with NFL insider Matt Mayako and him shirtless, completely shirtless, talking to Nick Bosa shirtless, not Matt Mayako. That would be bad.
Not the reporter.
Not the reporter. Nick Bosa completely
that would have been
shirtless.
awkward.
That would have been very awkward. But I mean, it's been a nice year. It's been a nice year.
It's been fun to watch.
Cool. I mean, the hopes are that we at least can be a competitive team. It'd be nice to be able to watch football for our team in January.
It would be.
Would be even nicer to be able to watch football for our team in February. That would be good.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it's a long-winded, almost 2-hour wrap-up of the of what we think of how the NFL's going this season.
The season thus far.
Yeah, at the
cool.
Up to this point.
Well, I know at some point, hopefully during the winter, I catch a game or two.
Games are nice to catch.
Yeah.
But I hope people that like football enjoyed this. I hope people that don't like football, maybe they want to start looking into football. Maybe they found it funny.
Yeah.
Hopefully so.
That'd be cool.
Something.
You never know.
Listen to me not say anything and then just chime in with obviously not knowing anything about what you guys are talking about.
I can see the comments already. This was the best episode. Mike didn't say anything.
Oh,
it's so hurtful. So hurtful. Or more of a why did you let that James guy talk so much? And who's that Scott? He sounds sexy. Sorry, ladies, he's taken. Also, sorry, gentlemen, he's taken. Just got to throw that in there.
You might recognize my voice from the intro to the show.
Yeah, Scott. Just if we didn't make that clear in the beginning, Scott is our announcer
and the
guy.
Outro as well.
He's our intro announcer.
Outro.
He's our outro announcer. He's an all around friend. Been friends with Mike for much longer than with me, but that's all right. We're still good friends.
That's right.
Yep.
Which one do you like better, him or me?
I like you both the same.
You're a damn liar. Anyway, so Mike, for the people who like football and for the people who don't like football and just want to listen to us, where can they listen to us, Mike?
All right, well, you can catch us at thexennialchronicles.com, or if you don't want to type that much, xenchron.com, spelled Xenchron. Speaking of Xenchron, you can find us on Facebook and on Twitter and the social medias at that online hook. We are currently working on actually getting a URL for our YouTube page, by the way.
Yes, we want that. We want that badly.
Which is a full archive of all of our podcasts. The podcasts we come out with on the website and on TuneIn and on Spotify, all that kind of stuff. You can only catch up to a certain amount. YouTube has all of them from the first all the way on.
So if you watch
we've done so many.
Yeah, if you watch them, then like it and subscribe to it. And
yeah,
click that
subscribe,
little icon
click
thingy.
the bell. Yeah, do all that stuff.
More
Make
subscribers are good. Scott, are you a subscriber on YouTube?
I am.
Fantastic, Scott. We love you.
But that, I believe that is it, man.
Wait, did you click the bell icon?
Click the bell.
Click the bell.
Did you do it?
No.
You need to click the bell.
Why didn't you click the bell?
Click the bell.
I will click the bell. I
click
promise.
it.
I promise I'll click the bell.
Is this meme worthy? Do I need to make a click the bell meme?
Click the bell? Nah.
No?
Not really.
No?
People make fun of YouTubers for saying that stuff all the time.
Okay. So wouldn't it be good to have a meme of some popular YouTuber with the click the bell?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that meme game out.
I don't know either. I find them funny, but most people don't. Like, I like to look at the picture of the meme and then like write exactly what's in the picture because I think that's funny. But that's just me.
Hey, that works. That works, man.
Here's a picture of a dog.
Yes. It's like, well, no, if it's a picture of a dog, it'd be like, hi, I'm a dog. And that would be the end of the dog. Because to me, that's hilarious.
God, I just, please, like, hopefully, just keep your eye out. Keep your eye out for some of these memes. They're actually really funny. He's been showing them to me for approval.
There are some that will be appearing on Twitter and Facebook very
So
shortly.
follow us on Twitter and on Facebook at Zencron, damn it.
So you can see the memes.
And subscribe to our YouTube and hit the bell.
Do
it.
Thank you for listening. Scott, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime, sir. Maybe we'll find another thing to discuss that Mike can actually be a part of. Ooh. Guess what? Guess what, people? Mike already went and did it.
What did I did?
Oh, you did it.
I did?
You did it so much.
What did I did?
First, he did it with his wife. Now he's going to do it with me.
Oh, boy.
Next week, we are going to go see the Symphony Metallica in the theaters.
Yes,
S&M2. Yes, S&M2 in the theaters. Mike already saw it.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
I'm sorry.
You need to see it.
I know I need to see it.
You need to see it.
I do.
You need to see it.
So we're going to see it.
It's really good. Honestly, like they do some really cool stuff.
Cool.
And then maybe we'll bring you in for maybe a heavy metal discussion at some point, like old school 80s, 90s heavy metal discussion.
All right.
So this can be this is some fairness for Mike. This can be a discussion night where you and Mike get to talk, and I get to just interject occasionally. Yeah, Metallica's better though. Yeah, Metallica's better though. Okay. And that's because that's really when it comes to like
I need my conversation where I get to guide things along a little bit more here.
That would help. And James just basically says Metallica over and over again because he is not as knowledgeable about all the heavy metal bands as you guys are, nor is he a fan. So I think that would be good. Anyway, thank you again for listening, everybody, and we will talk to you again next week.
Have a good night.
See ya. Thank you for tuning in, friends. The journey continues next week.